backwoods.
Born in the backwoods.
Raised by a bear.
Raised by a bear.
Got cast iron nuts.
Got cast iron nuts.
And 2 coats of hair.
And 2 coats of hair.
Got a stainless steel dick.
Got a stainless steel dick.
Yeah, it's a mean prick.
Yeah, mean prick.
I'm a mean motherfucker.
I'm a mean motherfucker.
Who don't take no shit.
I don't take
We
no
can say
shit.
whatever. Like I was.
When we were doing, what is the organization? AIPAC. I forget what it's called. It's a pro-Israel Jewish support thing.
Yeah, APAC.
And Matt, I did a couple gigs for them, and Matt's like, yeah, you go down there and you can hang out. And it's, a bunch of people are going to be there. They're all gooey for Jewy. And I went, that's fucked up.
Gooey for Jewy. That was the greatest.
I'm like, that is kind of fucked up.
I don't think I got anywhere close to the knowledge that you were supposed to have going to like APAC or anything like that till after the Israel-Palestine stuff started happening. After that, I'm like, okay, what was APAC? Because I heard it like halfway through a podcast.
Yeah, it's like an American Israel support.
Yeah.
It's a lobby group.
Yeah, they have their
lobbyists.
fingers
It's a
in a
lobbyist.
lot
They
of
lobby
stuff.
the government for pro-Israel
I bet they've
laws.
been taking some heat.
Oh.
So when's some new protests gonna happen? Like when do we get to go do
Election year.
I'm wondering what's gonna actually happen with this election.
So if there's something coming up where where you're going to be working or he's going to be working,
We gotta go.
I'll go. I'll do it.
We gotta go.
I'll do it, especially if it's on the weekend or something. I'll do it.
That's
Yeah.
all I've been telling. Almost every
Do you
phone
remember
call.
when we fought, where were we? Where we went and Antifa got their ass beat.
That was at the Fort Collins police station.
The Back the Blue
The back of-
protest.
oh god, yeah, that guy.
That was awesome.
That was the best
the
video.
dude, the guy with the American flag, the old guy,
who
just,
did the fucking
dove
drop
into the
ball?
ditch.
Yeah, he did the drop. Oh, I got hit.
and you hear Joe in the background.
You
This
will do-
isn't gonna help your cause, people.
World Star.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add that video in
What
too.
a shit show that was.
I
That was
kept
so
one of
fun.
their hats. Usually,
Did you remember the picture of the meth head that I was talking to that just got this scowl on her face? I'll find it.
Kind of.
I'll find it. It's so good. It's one of my favorites.
text it to the group because then I'll add it into this.
Okay.
No, yeah, I'm genuinely curious how the end of this year is gonna go, election wise. Just
Either way, it's not going to go great.
because
There's no winning scenario.
But
in
in the end, they'll be huffing and puffing and all that. But there's nothing monumental is going to come.
it's
out.
posturing.
I mean,
That's all it
people are
is.
going to, and there'll be the usual election fraud, election rigging complaints on either side, both sides. It doesn't matter. And there'll be some initial, issues that stem from it. But I don't see anybody, charging the Capitol anymore or anything stupid like that.
Look at that gal I'm talking to.
Oh, that's
Look
right.
at that girl.
Yeah, she's definitely.
And then you two are both standing there looking like, oh shit.
like, oh, here we are.
oh, at that back.
We were on bikes, weren't we?
Yeah, we were all on, and then we went out for ice cream afterwards. After the fight, we went out for ice cream. Clover's
Because
ice
that's
cream.
how we roll.
Yeah. We were on our bikes, and we were like, let's go get some ice cream.
I want to go to Culver's
Just
and
gotta
get me
get
a
fun.
milkshake.
Yes.
The podcast I did with my buddy Bob, he was actually at the Minneapolis protest on top of Menards.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was up on one of those roofs. And-
After, was it the Floyd?
yeah, the
The
Floyd
Floyd, yeah,
protest.
yeah.
And I was putting all the pictures that we took out there, and I was like, I gave up on anything being like good about that protest or anything because after I saw this lady and her kid, like a little 4-year-old kid, and she kneels down in front of it.
I have that video.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
She's sitting there in front of this mural, and she goes, "Okay, are you ready?" Holds the camera up. Why?
She was totally fine. She's like, all
Yeah.
right, now we're going to set up the phone and we're going to do our thing. Is this good? Do I look good? Okay. Hit record. Why? And she starts bawling and the kid just looks at her like, Mommy, are we okay?
Yeah.
It was straight up
like
child
stable?
abuse. Straight
It
up
was
child
bad.
abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you want to put this in your conspiracy file. I did the Louisville gig
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
When I went down there, you were there because I loaned you my bullets, but you
I was at Louisville.
Oh, you were. Okay, right. Sorry. I'm
Yeah.
senile. Anyway, who was with me when they dropped off the fucking boxes of rocks? Who saw that?
Oh, I do remember that. I wasn't
remember you
there, but
taking
I
a picture
remember
of
it
it.
happening. Was it John Waters?
No, it was the Fox guy, the Mike something, the Fox anchor.
Yes, the older guy.
Yeah,
Not the one we liked that we met at the other protest.
really good dude.
Yeah, I got a picture of him too.
I forget his name, but anyway, we were working with him, and I don't know if it was you and me.
Yeah, I was
Maybe it
down there with you guys.
But I mean, who actually saw that with me? Where the U-Haul pulled up and they offloaded down on a little dolly and down, lowered the thing, and this, those wire cages like that they put the water
Pumpkins in
containers,
and
like
stuff.
like those water containers that farmers have. They're surrounded by that wire cage. It was kind of like that, but with a smaller mesh, full of rocks and chunks of concrete and bricks. And
Well, they were probably just building something.
I'm like, what in the hell is
Pallets
going on here?
on all these street corners and along the route. They wanted to make sure there was plenty of tools,
just in case.
influential tools.
Insane.
Yeah, yeah.
No, every time we go to those protests, it's kind of always the same groups of people, just nuts,
Well,
want to be heard.
And how many of them are paid? That's my
Right.
question. How many protesters are on a salary?
Joe
'Cause
and
that's
I.
there's another deep dive with who's a paid protester.
Joe and I went to the multiple times out to the North Dakota
Mhm.
pipeline protests, and we went into the tent, where the protesters are all meeting. They are literally handing checks out in the tent, and there was MSNBC.
Was that before they bust in the veterans?
That was the first time we were out there. I think we went out three
What was the
times.
cause?
Oh yeah.
And- what's that?
What was the cause? What was going on?
The pipeline protests through the
that's
Standing Rock. In
The North Dakota Access
Yeah.
Pipeline.
The Keystone. Oh, different.
And we went into the tent, and MSNBC was there with their camera crew, and they were like, George Billing, George Blue, handing out checks, and they were like, down went the cameras.
Well, what they do
and we were
is
like, are you serious? This would be like, you've got proof they're paying these
they
protesters.
use foundations to hide it.
Yeah.
And the people that are trying to bag it, like George Soros types, they'll pay the foundations that will then, or they'll
Right.
probably pay like two
Oh, yeah.
foundations before it gets to the actual foundation. So there's like a separation.
No, it wasn't George Soros'
Yeah.
signature on the check. But
Yeah.
It was clearly one of his shell companies paid. But no matter what, they were being paid to be out there,
Crazy.
which is awesome.
Yeah, I was surprised we were even able to get them in there. The first time we were there, there was that one ginger-haired white dude up at the front entrance that was their security, and I'm sitting there. There
Talking
was
like an Indian.
yeah, there were buffalo up on the hill or something, and he goes, I'm like, oh,
Did
dude,
he change
look.
like into character?
Yeah,
Oh,
no, he
dude.
did.
Okay.
100%.
So I go-
is this shot good over here? Me see Tatanka on hillside.
So I saw the buffalo up on the hill, and I'm like, oh man, isn't that beautiful? Sunset behind it. And he goes, yes, those blessing this land. And this is a ginger-haired.
That sounded more like Dracula.
Yeah. It was a blood-sucking
Leave the
buffalo.
accents to me.
Well,
Yeah.
he did that, and then like 2 seconds later, some actual Native American chick walks up, and she's like, "Hey, can you help us out real quick, Jimmy?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, sure,
Oh, yeah.
Jessica."
Absolutely.
I'm on my way.
I'm like, what the-
So
Yeah, the types of like switches that people will switch to whenever they're not around the people that they're helping or
Well, in their defense, we do the same thing. We get into character
With
we're
clients.
we're on the job. We do when we're sitting in a stairwell. You're humping Joe's leg. But when the client comes around,
it was
no,
a
you
good
just,
leg.
You just keep going. I'm sorry, that's a bad example. Roger's fucking face when he saw you humping Joe's leg. God, that was priceless. And I was frozen. I was like, oh no.
The only time I've seen you more like
I was
veins
mad.
sticking out
I was
is when
mad.
I told him in the Singapore group about the eating dogs. At that point,
forgot you guys did the-
your vein was literally and
I
they
was so mad,
and I
dude.
pulled it off. I pulled it off. They started laughing.
Yeah.
And they
Luckily.
rolled the dice on that one. That was a big roll.
I don't think I've ever been that mad at you.
Yeah, that was.
I was looking at you going, what in
Did
the
you
fuck
just
did you
say that?
I was dumbfounded.
Yeah, he's like, we're gonna take you out to some authentic Singapore food, and I'm like, I don't really eat dog. Tim, I look over at Tim, and he is as red as this microphone, and the vein is like just throbbing out of his
We had a
head.
whole, we had how many of them in there? 6 of them? in the
Yeah,
car?
we had the whole crew. We had the whole crew.
The whole Singaporean
But
pastor
they digged it though, right?
They
There
actually
was a
did.
moment of
Pure silence.
just
he really
where
just
I, where I kind of, you could hear my guts go grrk, and then all of a sudden they started laughing. I was like, oh my
oh,
god.
thank
There
God.
was a full minute of, did he just say that?
Yeah.
And you just rainbow wheel, like just processing
Yeah.
what just happened. What just happened right there? And all of a sudden I look over at Tim and you're just you couldn't even look
No.
at me. You were so pissed. You were just like looking straight ahead.
You're right. I was processing.
What did the first time we met was that Shackley?
No.
Did we met before that?
That's a good question.
I think it was Shackley, the one down in Orlando.
Is that the first time we were together?
Yeah,
Is it?
I think it is. Because I brought you in for Shackley and Joe. I think it probably would have been just Shackley.
That was my first big anything EP wise.
That was the dashboard ride. Good times.
How did
Squidward.
that happen?
Good times. God. I say this in all sincerity. I have never laughed that hard, that long since. Or probably before.
I'm glad I could
Because
bring
I
you joy.
always thought I was going to have a medical condition.
Yeah.
I thought I was like losing my shit for a while there because I couldn't stop laughing.
But like a
trying
gut
to
laugh.
drive.
When you pulled up and I was at the stop where we met, I don't remember, convention center, hotel, whatever, and you literally you're just drenched in tears. And I said, what happened? And you spent
Couldn't figure it
3
out.
minutes to get one sentence out of your mouth because you lost
Joe's
it.
just sitting there.
Joe was so big. Now
I didn't think I could fit in the
No,
windshield.
no. How does a 240-pound dude fit on a dashboard? You'd say that didn't happen.
no way.
but
it
it
did.
did.
The brakes on that Infinity are very impressive.
That and the flip flop at the
Oh, God.
airport. That was so.
I had the video of you walking all dejected.
And Joe was truly just, but I mean,
He
like
was done.
You,
Well, we were done because it was the end of it. We're all
Defeat.
kind of fried.
yeah.
And that
What
was another
started
shot.
it?
I don't know. I was just torturing you.
Something led to you just stepping on the back of my flip flops and it snapping right off.
I don't remember why I did that.
And remember on the baggage claim, the flip flop comes around.
Everyone's like, what the fuck?
Oh,
It was tied together with a shoelace too, because I had to like rig it up to where it still
and as
works.
promised, you got a brand new pair.
I did. I still have them too.
all right. I don't know if I told you this story, but we're heading up to North Dakota, and we're getting hungry, right? And we're like, let's stop. So we stop at a gas station to get gas in North Dakota, and there's sushi in the gas station
Sketch.
at North Dakota.
Yeah.
That guy.
No.
That's where you know it's fresh.
That guy
Oh,
just
yeah.
is like,
It's ramen
oh,
daily.
sushi. And I'm like, there's no way.
Joe,
There's no
Joe.
way you're going to buy sushi from a gas station in North Dakota.
Yeah,
That
that's-
guy.
That's a bad call.
He did it.
Hey, it held up. Nothing.
You rolled
It
the
didn't-
dice.
Yeah, and it paid off.
We are gamblers, us three.
We were also playing old Peter Pan music through there.
What makes
What
the
makes
red
the
man
red
red?
man
Through
red?
the Indian reservation at the
I don't know what the fuck you're
protest.
talking about.
There's a
Peter
Peter
Pan.
Pan song, What Makes the Red Man Red?
Oh, wow, that
And
would
they
be
sing it
fun.
in Indian voices. And
It's
Dingle
where-
Fritz
it's where
here
they
turned the
kidnapped
radio up as
Wendy
loud as he
and-
could,
Okay.
rolled down the windows, and yeah, we were playing What Makes
Because
the
you
Red Man
could
Red.
hear the radio playing like hardcore Native American like tribe
Oh, yeah,
music.
yeah.
Yeah, like
yeah.
all that, and then you hear us like, "What makes the red?" It was horrible.
I can't believe with all our shenanigans, we didn't get dressed down by a client at something for stupid shit.
What?
Because we've done some stupid shit.
We did, but it was worth every second of it.
It was always fun. I didn't. that was it the third time or the second time we went up there where I just put a giant dent in the side of your truck?
That was the second time.
I didn't know you could switch.
2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
We're driving up North Dakota. GPS sent us on some deer trail. Don't know why, but we're committed. Let's do it.
3 feet of snow.
Joe's driving in the Ram pickup, and all of a sudden we hit. I mean, that's probably legit waist high snow.
Yeah.
And it was like we're not gonna make it through this, and I'm like, just give it. If you're gonna do it, commit, go. And
Put it
Joe
in
like
four-
stops
No,
in the middle of it.
You said, okay, just put it in 4-wheel drive. And
Yeah.
I go, oh, okay.
And he stops.
I didn't know you could switch.
On the fly 4-wheel drive evidently is nothing Joe heard of
In the
up
last
until that
3
day.
decades.
Yeah.
It's been pretty
Yeah.
standard.
Last time I drove one, 4-wheel drive, it was
Had to get out and unlock the
1972. Yeah. Twitch them hubs, they're a little rusted.
Well, it got stuck,
Oh, yeah.
but I got it out using.
Dented the entire half of my truck
How?
with his big
My
old
back.
moose body.
So it was.
What are
as-
you pushing on the side? Of
yeah,
the truck?
the side, the
so-
back quarter panel.
Because
Yeah.
it's
It was
sliding.
scooting.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's scooting to the side.
So
and
he's throttling.
It was
and you're shoving
sliding,
it.
So
and he
I'm-
was pushing as I was throwing.
Yeah, I'm pushing up. I'm hooking the back over the wheel well, and like I'm pushing it backwards. And we finally get it out as he's giving it gas and stuff. And after we pull away, I see this like giant indent of
Oh, it's
my,
just destroyed.
my back.
Whole side of my truck. The moose attacked it.
But we made it.
We made
It's
it.
a good insurance claim.
Yeah.
We got rammed by a moose.
Yeah. It's in North Dakota. A moose hit it
Plausible.
multiple times. Over and over and over.
North Dakota was definitely that was the most handful of crazy situations that we ran into out there because they
Remember the
protest.
gas masks? We stole the gas masks from the protesters, stole their shields, and then went sledding with their shields.
How about when we smuggled firearms into the Staples Center
In
our
LA.
dirty underwear?
In LA.
In Los Angeles.
Yes.
People don't believe that story.
No.
They're like, "How'd you get a gun into Staples Center?" I go, "I put it in my bag, wrapped up in dirty underwear."
Mm-hmm.
was that for the Comic-Con thing?
No, that
That
was
was-
more Pastor Prince stuff.
Prince, yeah. And we walked right through that metal detector, and if you touch the side of it, it beeps. So all I would do is I would have it on me, holstered, concealed, and on the side that I was walking through, I'd kind of clumsily just hit it and touch it, and he goes, it would go beep, and they go like, oh, well, he touched the side, no wonder. Oh, yeah, go on. That was really good security at the Staples Centers.
We were gonna and we were gonna hide the guns in the green room.
In the plants.
But
In the
Very
plants.
I thought it was in the ceiling.
Oh, in the tile?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
What? I like plants. That makes a better story. But we didn't end up doing that. We ended up just taking them back and forth.
And just walking through the metal
Yeah.
detector each time with them.
Funny,
Yeah.
funny.
Through Vegas, I think I found the most ways to get away with parking wherever you want. Just have cones. The
Oh.
doors that you just push a little or in a different way and it'll open. You know, that little what's it called? You pull up to it and it goes up.
A gate.
Thank you. Well, a different word for fuck you. But all you have to do is pull up right next to it and it'll just open. You don't need to hit a key card or anything, but you're supposed to. But just like little stuff like that at Vegas was, I'm excited to go visit there again just so I can
Yeah.
try and save some money.
All right. So what are we doing?
I don't know. This is
Oh,
the
you're
first
talking
time-
election. You're talking election.
Yeah, this is the first time I've had people on that we're not like specifically talking about veteran stuff.
Oh, I thought we were
so-
just bullshitting. We're like rolling. Oh, okay.
I think we can cook without.
I was like ready for the little clacker and.
Well, that's why
Yeah. The amazing Tim Young is
So
here
I
with us
have-
in studio.
I would
there was no
originally.
introductions.
No.
I'd originally play intro music and outro music, but
Shouldn't
now
shouldn't you do like introductions for the studio audience at home?
for the ladies and gentlemen watching, mom, grandma, grandpa.
Hi, Uncle Lewis.
These are my best friends. I love these guys, and I've known them for coming up on a decade now, right? Right?
I think
Yep.
so. I
About
think
a
so.
decade.
When was Orlando?
2016,
Yeah.
right?
It was
Yeah.
after I retired from
Yep.
the PD, so it had to have been in there somewhere.
Yeah.
It wasn't long after you and I met in Windsor at the old breakfast spot and got you going.
That's right, because you talked to my SWAT sergeant.
Yeah.
You just walked up and said, "You know anybody that wants to work?"
Mm-hmm.
And he called me. Yeah,
Yeah.
we ate at the Egg and I in Windsor.
That's right.
So who are you and what do you do?
Who is your daddy and what does he do? Hi, I'm. You were serious with that?
Yeah,
Oh,
no.
Okay. Hi, Joe. I'm Tim Young. I'm a retired police officer and did commercial aviation for about 8 years, and now I'm back in security work.
And you, young sir?
My name's Matt Isborn. I was with the Civil Air Patrol in 8th grade.
That's legit.
Past that, I don't know. I still own a security company doing executive protection all around the world with goofy people like
Almost
Joe
all
and Tim.
ex-law enforcement,
Yeah.
ex-military,
yeah.
the best bunch.
But Civil Air Patrol is really where I got my start. If
Yeah.
you ask the Israelis, that's really where it all started.
It's the training grounds.
Yeah.
I've been getting
Man.
calls from Israel. They're saying they need me back.
And currently firefighting in Wyoming.
Nice.
Yep.
You feel better now?
I just I didn't know we were.
No, I know.
I didn't know we were rolling. I thought
So
we were just
I've been
talking.
trying a new thing because now with editing, I'm getting a lot better and
Oh, okay.
I'm able to put the intro song in and stuff like that. So I was just going to start doing the videos where we're just shooting the shit and the music will play. And then once I'm ready, it'll kind of fade out and start us talking.
Must be a lot of editing.
I use Adobe Premiere Pro. It's expensive,
Not
but it's like,
sponsored, but maybe.
yeah, right. No, they should, because I'm an idiot and I'm figuring it out slowly but surely.
So simple an idiot can do.
Yeah, pretty much. I was trying to find the free, the free ones, but like even those were just like a pain to use. But it's getting a lot easier with like YouTube tutorials and stuff. So I'm trying to figure out new ways to introduce people
Streamline the. Oh, okay.
and like get the podcast going, because it always, to me, it sounds, I'm looking at it like I'm comparing it to all these other podcasts. So I'm watching like Joe Rogan or the Sean Ryan show or something like that, and they all start talking, and then music starts rolling and it like rolls into the podcast. I just feel like it feels clunky whenever I'm go, "Hi, this is Joe with the ODT podcast. This is," you know what I mean?
Live.
Yeah, right.
Gotcha.
So that I've been getting a little bit better with it, but I mean it's a work in progress, and I mean I'm not getting paid to do it. So
I'm gonna have to. I saw some of one that you had sent me the link to, but I didn't have time to fully dive into it. But I'll have to go back and revisit that.
they're getting better and better, less ghetto. Like I figured out that the cameras, you have to go through the menu, turn off the heat temperature system in there, where if it gets too hot, it'll cut off. So now I have a fan, and now each camera is set to where it won't just shut off. So now I can, it's less crap I have to deal with editing. So like I'm figuring stuff here and there out, but the next one I'm going to be doing is with my friend Kelly that I met through the Patton, the one that I did the commercial with, the Patton Veterans Project.
That's a goof, man.
I was so happy that I got to do that. I have like 5 other ideas that I
Do
want
those
to do.
people do a lot of those?
Not funny ones. Like Marshall did
Oh.
one, and his was kind of funny.
So they do like really helpful tutorial type stuff.
They like poems. Like Marshall wrote a poem and they turned it into a video and he's like a drill sergeant talking to.
Those are all former military people, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But the people that are running it, one of the guys is an Oscar-winning director or something, and then you have Ben Patton. That's the General Patton's grandson, and it's his project. Like it's his thing. But he has all these other people that like have gone to college to learn how to do filmography or whatever it's called.
Production,
Yeah. And they basically just get they're trying to get as many vets as they can in a class, which starts at like 5 p.m. Friday, then Saturday, Sunday. So it's just a little weekend workshop. And Like, I literally just said, oh, I have an idea. Why don't we do Blue Falcon insurance? And all the vets are like, I know what a Blue Falcon is. Like,
Oh, that's a military joke?
yeah, it's a
I had to
buddy
Google it.
fucker.
I had to Google it.
So a Blue Falcon
Like
is someone.
Jody.
Exactly. A Blue Falcon is someone that screws you over. And my original thing
Never heard
in
that.
yeah.
It's for their own benefit, but they'll step all over people for their
They'll
own
throw you under
benefit
the
in
bus. Like,
military. Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I was at dental all day today, Sergeant. Like, and now I'm back. My dental appointment's over. And then the sergeant's like, oh really? Come here, private douchebag. And then some like wiry little turd walks out. What's up, Sergeant? Where'd you see Specialist Canson today? Saw him at the liquor store, Sergeant. You know, that kind of guy. So that's a Blue Falcon. So with the commercial that I made is Blue Falcon Insurance. Did you just show up
To
in
insure
your
from people fucking you over.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. So and I have like I have so many ideas that I want to do. I want to do a commercial for them where it's like I'm dressed as General Patton walking behind a big American flag, and I'm like talking about all the things that vets have to deal with, and then it cuts to like, you ever seen Starship Troopers?
Mm-hmm.
It cuts to a bunch of vets going, I'm doing my part. And then like,
I've seen those clips.
then it's got like John or Joey going, I'm doing my part. So
Nice.
it's like I'm trying to not make it too inappropriate so that we can still make a commercial.
I imagine that's a fine line.
And it's hard for me. So. But I'm getting there slowly. But that's what I've been doing lately. It's fun. So
Your glasses that allow you to see that line, you need a new prescription.
I'm just gonna get LASIK again. No, my brother, I'm going to visit them on the East Coast, and he worked at Leavenworth in the Army, and at Leavenworth Prison, and just got to meet the turds of the turds. That Fort Hood shooter, and he told me like 70% of the people there are just pals, like,
Charming.
you know, like, and it's all ex-soldiers, so I definitely want to get his side of like what it was like working in something like
That'd
that.
be an interesting
'cause,
interview.
yeah, the stories he would tell me, he's like, yeah, just listening to these guys talk about how happy they were whatever they did, you know, it's definitely disturbing.
Guess that's why there's prisons.
Yeah, pretty much. I remember the craziest stories that I've heard have always been on like jobs with you guys, or, you know, listening to other guys talk about trying to kill time throughout the day, but just the craziest shit you can think of. The one we were talking about before, the logging trail one.
Oh,
That is,
Lord.
I don't think I can ever get that out of my head.
No, I was there, and it's
I
burnt
don't think
in.
I've heard this one.
Yeah, but
So when I was on the fire department in Oregon, we got called to a motor vehicle accident up in the logging roads. And in Oregon, when they close a logging road, they just stretch a cable across and put a little red flag on
I
it.
think I see where this is going.
So a guy and a gal, they cut the top off of a little Toyota Corolla or Corona or something like that, cut it, the post, A post, B post, all the way down, and made it just hood, top of the door, and, you know, whatever. So it was a convertible.
Homemade convertible.
Yeah, no windshield, nothing on it. And they took it out joyriding out in the woods, and it got to be dusk, kind of hard to see the cable. Evidently didn't see the cable and went right through the cable at a pretty good speed. No, we knew they didn't even brake because there's no brake marks. I mean, they just right through. Both their heads were like perfectly clean off, and the car had ghost ridden into a tree basically. And here's their bodies. In the
Their
heads were gone, like couldn't find them. In Oregon, blackberry bushes and underbrush is really thick just because of the amount of rain they get over there. And we were like, somewhere, who knows at what point it rolled off in the 30 yards that the car went before it hit a tree.
how did you guys search for them?
So a guy, one of the sheriff's deputies with Lane County, he pulls a stick off a tree. Literally pulls a stick off a tree, and I see him, and he's sitting there whittling a sharp tip at the end of the stick. And everybody's like, what the fuck's he doing? Like, what is he up to? Next thing we know, he's calling out, here, head, poking it around in the bushes. Nope. Looking for the head. Probably, I don't know where he is to this day. But anyway.
Probably locked up in Leavenworth. Somewhere.
Probably, yeah. Then we ended up first someone, one of the other people, I don't remember who, found the female's head. And he goes, oh, there we go. Let me get it. Reaches down, grabs the head, and walks over to the bodies, still in the car. Is this your head? Or is this your head? Or is this your body? Or is this your body? And it's like clearly a female. I mean, it wasn't.
That's
depraved.
That's
fucked
up.
I feel like I've met like 5 different versions of that guy, and
I went home
How
going.
do you get that dark?
I don't know. But he was, and it was like that on just about every call.
Now, I've had these morbid thoughts on fatal TAs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't do them.
No, he acted it out. He acted the whole thing out.
think about the EMTs or paramedics, firefighters that you've met that like have that. I feel like it's a coping thing for a lot of people.
Oh, we have yeah.
Did I tell you about the girl who lost her arm in Greeley?
No.
So there was a vehicle pursuit, and there was a bunch of kids, and there was 3 kids in the back and 2 in the front. And he ran, it was like 16 and 23, I think it was, went straight through and hit a telephone pole, and everybody got jacked up, right? Because no one's wearing seatbelts. Well, there's one girl in the back seat passenger side who got thrown forward, and the window was open, so her arm was out the window, hit the B pillar, and just took the arm off, right? It just came off.
Shaved it.
And so she's still in the car, and we picked her up. They picked her up, and they're packaging her up, and I go over, and they're like, we need the arm because we're going to take her to fly her to Children's and try and get reattached. So I'm carrying the arm, and she's on the gurney, and she's sitting there, and she's like, oh, my arm really hurts. Could somebody just help me put it up on my chest? And I'm standing behind her, holding it, and I had this morbid fantasy of going, there.
You go.
It's okay. It's all
Just
right.
pat.
Stroking her hair with her own bloody fucking arm. But I didn't do it.
No.
Just start waving.
Yeah. But another time, there was a guy up in Fraser, was walking home from the bar, and for whatever stupid reason, laid down on the train tracks, and this is in the wintertime. And the train came and sawed his leg off, but then they stopped, so he's under the locomotive. So all the firemen are showing up, and they're like, oh, we should get this airbag and this lift. And
you're not going to lift the train.
Blah, blah, blah. The paramedic, who's a buddy of mine, reaches between the drive wheels, grabs the dude, and pulls him out from between the... Well, his leg is still there, and he's about a quarter of a mile from the roadway. So they're carrying him back, and I'm carrying his leg. Still had the jean on it.
Yeah.
Right? And the shoe. And it was like, this is Grand County in the wintertime, so it was like -10 at night. And I'm carrying it going, gosh, this is really keeping my hands nice and warm.
Oh, gosh.
I think I told you about that fire that I went to when I was with Evans, that as we're showing up, the guy had, he got in a fight with his wife, and it was a big argument, and she locked herself in the back bedroom of the trailer, and he is banging, he's trying to get through there, so he realizes he can't get through, so he gets a bunch of electrical wire, and he starts like wrapping it around his head, and he tries hanging himself in the back closet. That doesn't work, so he grabs gasoline, pours it on himself, lights himself on fire.
That'll do it.
While he is hanging in the closet. He's still alive and everything. We show up, and the fire, like the entire trailer's engulfed. The wife had climbed through that back window, and like this dude's just crispy. And we can't get him out yet. The firefighters get in because we're all wearing like polyester, and they get in, they pull him out, and he's still alive. He's still talking, but just crispy. And they lay him on the ground. I'm holding the light above him, and I'm like, do you guys need more light? And he's talking still, light. But he ended. I'm pretty sure he ended up passing away. But like everything, he was wearing like denim jeans or something, and you only saw where the belt was and the pockets, like the inseam, and it was like stuck to his skin. But we go back to the police department, and this is how I know, you know, a lot of different jobs, EMTs, firefighters, cops, soldiers, try and cope. Because then we all started quoting Star Wars. The scene with Anakin when he catches on fire near the lava pit. I hate you.
I hate you.
And then one of the other cops is like, you were supposed to be the chosen one, Anakin. You were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them. But like everybody's saying parts and like...
Dark.
But I mean, like I feel like a lot of jobs, military, law enforcement, whatever, they all have those. Everyone's trying to cope, and then you got that like one guy in the background that's like, "This is horrible. Why would you even joke about that?"
So here's another horrible story. We got a call 3 a.m. Guy called up veteran
Oh God.
out of his head. And he's threatening to kill his family, kill himself, kill any cops that show up, blah, blah, it's 3 a.m. So we show up and we set up a perimeter and we're moving in on him. And there's a long involved story. But anyway, since I was on the tech team, I was running it. So I had so here's the street. And my buddies are across the street and we're coming down the sidewalk toward his home where he's standing up front. And he's marching back and forth with this rifle with a wooden stock. To this day, I'm going to swear that was an AK-47 because it sure shit looked like one at 3 a.m. So the plan was to distract him and have my buddy over here do a call out and get his attention, and then we could come out from hiding and put guns on him and have him, dead to rights so that we could instantly control the situation. So we do that, and as we're marching up on him, he raises the rifle at the group across the street who are behind cover, but still... I don't know where they are. I can't see them. And he's pointing the rifle at them. So I shoot him. He goes down. We walk up. And he's laying there on the ground. And it was a lethal shot. And I look down at the rifle. And I shit you not, it's a Red Ryder BB gun. And so Tim says... What does Tim say?
You'll shoot your eye out.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid. And Mom is on the porch behind me.
Oh, no.
Luckily, she didn't hear
Yeah,
it.
right.
And my sergeant looks at me, he's like, kind of the look I gave you in
Yeah.
the car with the Singaporeans. He's like,
Are you serious?
he didn't even have words. We went back to the station after, and he's like, dude, what? And I go, it just came out. Like, it was an internal thought that became an external utterance. I don't know what happened, but yeah, I think that's the darkest thing I've ever
One of my
done.
best police stories was when I was riding with the sheriff's office in Oregon. I was a firefighter. I was just a kid. I was 17, 18 years old. And I rode with I must have been 18 because I did a ride along with the sheriff's office. And they get a call over the radio to go to a domestic dispute. And as dispatch was saying the address, the deputy was lip syncing it. Been there before a few times. And he got on it. Like, he was like, I'm heading over there. And he tells me, this is a place we go all the time. Boyfriend gets drunk, beats the shit out of the gal. One of these times we're going to get there and she's going to be dead. It's, she never presses charges, back out. It's the same, and he goes, one of these times we're going to get there and she's dead. So we pull up to the scene and he's like, stay in the car. Do not get out. I don't know what this is like. So he walks up to the door, looks in the window, trying to get an idea. And here she is with a Louisville Slugger baseball bat, just beating the piss out of this guy. And I hear him on the radio going, letting dispatch know I've arrived on scene. I'm going to go ahead and 360 the building before I make entry to make sure, scene's clear. And he's like,
like
It's a
Andy
lovely night
Griffith.
for a stroll.
yeah. Then when she was good and tired, had her way, gets in the door, detains everybody, calls the ambulance for the guy. But I just remember just going, just that small level of street justice right there. Like, officer safety. I don't want to just go in without doing a 360
Yeah,
around the
better-
trailer and
Make sure the perimeter's secure.
Right, absolutely.
I
But-
take it this is before badge cam.
Oh yeah, this is in this would have been 1992, 91.
Jeez.
But yeah.
Did he survive this?
He was alive, yeah.
Learned a lesson.
She made sure to get the old face and head. Like she was going for that.
There was a decade's worth of anger coming out in 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was just that tiny little bit of street justice. And I did a ride along in
She
Detroit.
went Siegfried and Roy on her.
Yeah. I did a ride along in Detroit, and this old sergeant, he should have been up for many promotions, but wanted to just stay on the streets as a sergeant. And they were like, "You got to ride along with this guy. He's fantastic." Like, okay, cool. I did a ride along with him, and a drunk driver spit at him, and he grabbed the shirt, pulled it over the head, so he couldn't do that anymore. And then as he was putting him, cuffed him, as he was putting him in the patrol car, he's got his hand on his head. He's, getting him down and he just starts pushing on this guy's head. And I see the guy doing this, and he's like, "Stop resisting! Stop resisting!" As soon as he got right over the door, just let go. Whack! And all of a sudden he's like, "I told you to stop resisting," puts him back in the car. And I was just like, little street justice.
I was transporting a guy, and our cages had the slider window.
Yeah.
Right? But they have an aluminum track on it. And so this guy's in the back seat, and the seatbelts are only if you want to, if you want to be contained by them, you will. If you don't, you can slide. And he starts slamming his head against that rail. And you know what scalp lacerations, they just pull blood.
They bleed.
And he's banging his head. I'm like, I'm like that cop at that. I'm like, "You're going to need to stop doing that. Now I have to turn around. Now we have to go get a medical clearance. I guess I'll pull over so I can try to stop you from what you're doing."
No, please don't. Anything but
And then,
that.
of course, he claimed that I
Right.
beat him with my nightstick into
course.
submission.
Did you
And
have
I'm
a camera in your car
I'm
at
like,
the time?
No, hell no.
No.
I never wore a camera.
No.
I retired before cameras came to Greeley. But the sergeant came up. He's like, "He's saying that you hit him." I'm like, "Of course he is." I go, here's my baton. Mm-hmm.
Inspect.
And here is the rail of the slider window. Take a look at that. See anything obvious, like the blood running out of the
hair
the
chunks
tracks onto the yeah. Seriously. So
That's awesome.
What was that story you told me about where you showed up to a stable?
no, don't.
No.
Mark this point for editing.
Yeah.
God, you don't want that story.
Oh, I think the people want that story.
Ugh. All right. Fine. Give the people what they want.
Mancha.
Turn the volume up, folks. It's about to get real.
So we get a call of a trespass in progress. Rancher said there's somebody out by his barn. So I go out there, and I don't have anybody back up yet. So I'm poking around, and I see some horses out in the field. I'm like, he was bothering the horses or some shit. And then I hear this, and I'm coming up on this open-faced barn. I don't know what you call that, like a windbreak shed. Mm-hmm. And I hear this rustling, and it's night. So I hit my flashlight on it, and there's pens, and there's a donkey in there, and it's bucking and bucking. And its eyes are, when horses get wacky, their eyes roll back and they get that white eye kind of crazy shit going on. And it's trying to flip. And I look, and it's lashed to the post of the stall. And I'm like, well, that's kind of fucked up to do that. Why would the rancher do that? And then I look, and it's like a wire or a cord. It turns out later it was an extension cord. And I'm like, what the hell? And so I come around, and I just hit my flashlight on it. And I'm looking at trying to digest what I'm seeing and why that would be like that. And out from underneath the donkey comes this dude, and he's got no shirt on. His pants are down, and he's shiny. And I wanted to say, show me your hands.
Yeah.
Come, get out of there. Get on the ground. Whatever. But all I could get out was, what the fuck? And that was his cue to start running.
Right.
So he's holding his pants and trying to run with his pants undone. And so I chased him. So he goes around the barn away from me, and I'm chasing him around the barn. He jumps the fence. I jump the fence, and we're running, and we come back around the front of the barn. And all I could hear was the Benny Hill music. You know, that goofy Benny. That's all. It was in my head. I'm like, that's exactly what this is like. And I'm like, holy shit. And so we do the same thing again, jump the fence. Then he starts running down the road, and he gets toward the ditch, and I foot sweep him, because that's how I ended most of my foot pursuits, with the foot kick. And he tumbles down into the irrigation ditch, and I jump on top of him, and I'm trying to get him in control. And then I realize he's covered with donkey semen.
Oh,
At least the donkey got a happy end.
And I said, well, the donkey didn't look really thrilled at the moment. I can tell you. I don't think he was enjoying it. Maybe he had
what a
mixed
jackass.
maybe he had mixed feelings. Maybe he had mixed feelings about it. I don't know. But he was an illegal immigrant, and my sergeant, who spoke much better Spanish than I did, started asking what he was doing. Well, his story was he went into the farmer's field, to fuck the mares. Because apparently that's an acceptable story to tell a police officer. Like,
That's
Matt,
a lot better.
I ain't gay. I was going after
Right.
the girls.
Yeah,
Right.
What do I look like? A sicko?
yeah. I was just fucking the horse. What's wrong with you? Ooh, judgy. So, and then when he asked him about the donkey, he was like, no.
With everything.
Wasn't me.
I would never do that.
Wasn't me. And so I booked him in on aggravated animal cruelty, which
Is it
I couldn't get a
cruelty if
victim.
the
I
donkey
couldn't
finished?
get a victim statement, so I don't know.
I mean,
The state of mind of the victim is important in charging. I
Donkey's
was
got a
unable,
cigarette in his
to
mouth.
obtain that. I had to just speculate.
the evidence shows
Well,
it was a happy donkey.
the extension cord lashed to the pole
that might
was
have
less than pleasurable, I think. So we went with that.
You just enjoy a
And
cigarette
when
after.
and so I booked him in, and everybody's like, what the fuck, and all this. And I get back to the station, and they blew up a picture of who's the little donkey in Shrek.
Donkey.
Okay.
His name's literally Donkey.
Okay, they had a picture of Donkey over my locker. Thank you, Officer Young, for saving me. Yeah. Fuck assholes.
Did they shower him once he got to the jail?
I don't know.
I
I
would
assume
hose him
so.
off?
I would assume
Or
so. But
just let him just.
I booked him in there covered with crispy donkey semen. That was his journey. I wouldn't.
How'd you clean your car afterwards? Did you hose
He
it
just
out?
He
Burn
didn't
it?
go. He didn't go in my car.
Oh, good.
That's good.
Yeah.
He didn't
You
go in my
guys should
car.
probably take him in yours.
Well, I had to take statements from the rancher
That
and
makes sense.
and photograph the scene
Thanks for booking him.
and
guys.
then rub salt in my eyes so that I could
Lemon.
possibly forget that.
We had a multi-vehicle accident up at Vitaville on I-80 in the snow and the ice and everything, and I show up multiple victims, and guy comes walking up to me. I was one of the first on scene, and his head was just wide open, like you could see the white of his skull from the skin, and he's walking up to me and he's like, "Yeah, I'm bleeding." He has no idea. He has no idea.
He's in shock.
Yeah, he's in shock. And I'm bleeding a little bit. You got anything? I'm like, he just sat there like,
Here's a napkin.
Where do we start with it? You don't just put a gauze on that thing, right? There's skull showing. So I was like, yes, hold on. I grabbed this towel type thing that was in the back. It was a big bandage thing wrapped around his head. It's freezing cold outside. I think it was like 20 degrees outside with wind. And I was like, we need to get you inside. And I hollered at one of the highway patrolmen. I said, hey, do you have a car I can put him in that's warm? And he goes,
Nope.
yeah, that one over there.
Yeah.
It was his buddy's car. The guy's just bleeding profusely. And I was like, oh. And then after I put him in the car, he had been sitting there, and the highway patrol's doing their thing. The guy comes back, and I hear him go, what the fuck? What is he doing in my car? It was the outranked. But yeah, I was just like.
These are my favorite things to, not to, oh man, I love hearing horrible, gruesome stories, but like when you're stuck in a car, like at the Shackley gig, like
Right.
killing time. This is the best thing to help kill. 5 hours
telling
before.
gruesome or just goofy war stories.
God, just being stuck in a car with you was like pulling teeth.
No.
If I looked at my phone for more than 5 minutes, I still have that video where you're looking
Where I'm making fun of you.
yes,
Yeah.
for watching anything on my phone.
You watch some weird shit though.
Yeah, I remember trying to show. What was it? It wasn't Simon and Garfunkel, but it was like some hilarious music video where it's these chicks saying loopholes to get around.
And when you and I when we went up to North Dakota those times, I remember we were just making conversation for the long drive, and you'd be like, "Hey, have you ever seen that show?" And I'd be like, "No." And you were like, at one point, you finally got so frustrated because it's like you had brought up like 9 different shows. Well, oh, that reminds me of this one show.
But
and
you're not a movie
No,
guy.
no.
You're not a
I don't
TV
watch
guy.
TV and movies. And
Yeah, and
He
you probably
pretended
don't.
he didn't know who Stan Lee was.
I didn't.
You
I
really
until-
didn't?
That's sort of a niche thing, though.
Yeah.
But you don't like Lightbox and sit there and scroll on your little Lightbox. None of that
I
shit.
don't even know what Lightbox is.
Lightboxing.
It's what those new kids are.
Yeah,
Their brains are rotting from the inside.
Yeah.
Those conflabbit.
I call them
phones.
Lightbox zombies. Is what I've
Makes sense.
deemed them.
I thought Lightbox was an app or something.
You're gonna go blind.
No,
No.
just a derogatory term for your phone.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do when they actually have? I mean, they have them now. The glasses that have little screens on the lens.
I weep to think of where this is going with the preoccupation. And I'm not above it. I'm not sitting here preaching from a pulpit. You can. I can't because I do spend some time on my phone watching stupid shit. I did swear off TikTok though because it was too compulsive.
Oh,
And I don't know, and you could probably address this. I don't know if there's some psychological engineering behind it, but it's way more engaging. I don't know if engaging is the right word, but captivating than other social media sites.
But
So-
they're short, right?
yeah.
Right.
So you
They're
only
30
have to pay
seconds.
attention
They're either
for-
30 seconds or 3 minutes.
Yeah, you can have it for a certain length of time on each video, but the algorithm itself is you're looking at your phone, you're swiping through TikTok, you'll stop and watch a video. Now the algorithm is going to say, "Oh, he likes
He
this
liked that
video. Why don't we send him one of the videos we think he might like and one of the videos we think he won't like?" And then it'll build the algorithm from that.
Right.
So then now you're just, I mean, if we all start talking about kitty litter or dog food, it will start popping up on your TikTok feed, on Facebook, on your Reels.
And not just yours. Because
Yeah.
Amy will be researching lawn furniture. And then in the advertisements
Mm-hmm.
on my shit,
Mm-hmm.
like on Facebook or whatever, will come up lawn furniture advertisements.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
yeah.
They started finding a new thing. Somebody just did a video where they're showing it's a husband and wife and they have their phones next to each other.
Ooh, I
And
think I've seen this.
It's the same video. They're looking at the same video on each
but their
other's
comments
phones.
are different.
The comments are different.
Mm.
On one of the comments, it's like, "Oh, that stupid girl. She's so dumb."
Yeah, no,
And on the wife's,
the wife was treating the husband a certain, or the husband was
Yep.
treating the wife a certain way, and on the wife's feed it was like, "You don't need a man like that. Oh, you can get rid of him and you find someone to treat you like the queen that you are."
Yeah.
And on his it was like, "That bitch paid more attention to her man. She wouldn't have that problem." And blah blah blah.
Women belong in the kitchen.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it's messed up because you're not getting what you're looking for. Like when I look at comments, I want to look at it and be like, "Oh, okay, this is what people really think."
Right.
But they're not giving you that. They're catering the comments to whatever you're looking at, whatever they think you might like. So you're not getting real, parts of the comments. You're getting what they think you might
See,
like.
That's what's screwed up, though. Like we've all worked with the media, right?
Mm.
And we've all seen the story, and then we watch the news and we see what
You're
they.
like,
and
I'm
it's-
like, I
it's
was
all
standing
of-
right there.
It's all of them. I mean, it's all the liberal
Sure.
ones, Fox News. They all have their own.
Slant.
They didn't show
Slam.
that fight that we got
Mm-mm.
into with the protesters at the North Dakota pipeline. We were going through when they had ginormous, and I showed this at one of my other podcasts. I put pictures of it
Yeah.
where it's the pictures of these piles of garbage in their little
You sent that
encampment.
to me.
Yeah, and
The
they're
environmentalists trashing their campsite.
yeah, but it's all these homeless people that they bust in with the vets, and now the homeless people have nowhere to go, so they're just sitting there. Like there were people stealing stuff from each other, assaulting each other, like just a bunch of different things. And we're walking through, and they just do this pan of the entire camp and the stuff they had burnt down before the cops got there to take them all out.
And that never made air?
No, we walk out, and as we're walking back to the vehicles, some lady starts talking to the producer that we had, and it just went from there. I don't know if you want to.
You know, when we were in North Dakota, it was like the final day when they were getting ready to get them all out. So Joe and I are sitting there watching. All of a sudden, black smoke just barreling out. All of a sudden, black smoke, multiple places at the camp. And Joe and I was like, "What's going on? I mean, they're burning. What's going on?" Come to find out, their environmentalists are just burning all their stuff. All of just black smoke blazing out, and then we're like, they're driving Prius.
Irony?
But they're burning the entire. So the media, we thought, media is going to be showing this. Like the whole thing's on fire. You know, not the whole thing, but there's multiple.
They had
fires all
propane
over.
tanks on the inside of it that were like exploding and popping.
Awesome.
They were
Media
doing
never. No, that doesn't go with the
That doesn't
narrative.
fit our narrative.
That doesn't go
with
on
the
air.
videos. They were telling on the documentaries that they have now that because I ended up watching them to see if I could see us in the videos and Matt, look, it's us.
Matt's sledding on a
right?
sledding on a shield.
But they're saying that the cops were the ones burning everything down.
They weren't
were
even
trying.
in there yet.
They're kicking us out. Look at what they're doing.
Yeah.
And like all the
Wow,
real.
that's diabolical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the story where we're walking out after panning through and looking at all that garbage, we're walking back to the vehicles, and this lady starts yelling at us, saying, "What are you guys here for? Who are you with? Have you been badged?" Because we had to take a class, a media class, through the camp as a big 3-letter, 4-letter news agency. We had to go sit and listen to the protesters tell us, you can't videotape the fires because those are sacred fires, and you can't videotape anybody playing the drums or singing music or anything like that. So they're telling us what we can and can't videotape. As we're going through, she's telling us, well, I need to look at your video before you walk off with that. And the producer chick that we're there with, she was like, hell no.
Nope.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. And we already took your little class. And she didn't like the way the producer was talking to her. So she starts.
This is a government agent of some kind.
No.
Who's doing the talking?
This is a protester.
Oh.
Yeah.
Leading the classes.
Yeah, she's the leader.
On the media.
Yeah,
classes.
they put her in charge.
So
I
the
guess.
protesters are telling the media how to do their jobs, and they're like, okay.
She calls over
just do
more. She calls over like some Antifa guys with bandanas on their faces, and me and Matt, we're
Doing our
packing.
job. Yeah.
And
she's your client.
Yeah.
yes, and
We're
we have
protecting her.
I got a little camera guy. He's got a camera guy and a sound guy, and like we're watching these guys, and this dude's like the size of my son, so I'm literally like holding him up while this guy's like, "What's in that camera?" And he like reaches for the camera to try and take the memory card and stuff, and we're like, "You put your fucking hands on this guy, and we're gonna put you down."
Didn't that also happen in Louisville?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Almost every kind of protest thing
They
that
were
we've
trying
gone
to take the
Take
camera.
card out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they followed us to the cars, and the second this guy put his hand on the camera, I like strong arm him back, and this dude's like 6', he was like 6'6" or something.
And he went back away.
Yeah, he
fell in the mud.
he started going,
It got
"Oh,
embarrassed.
what you I'm not gonna let anybody do that. I'm not trying to fight. You see what they're trying to do to us?" I'm like, "You're trying to take the camera, dude." Like,
Yeah.
and they filmed all of this. They get in their vehicles, they go up to the police line that they had put up, and they start complaining to the cops what the news agency did.
I got photos of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're telling them what happened, and the cops are like, obviously, well, this is what happens. You're not even supposed to be here, protesters. They're not supposed to be here. Like, get over it. Was there an assault? Shit like that. But the news agency didn't show any of that at all.
See, this is why I almost remove myself from watching news and following, political things, because I know the more you know, the more frustrating it is.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
And when you see things, and what we've seen is minuscule compared to what people in the media see every day. They have to know the whole thing is a charade.
Yeah. It's a dog and pony show.
And I don't know how do you live with yourself when you're engineering a news story. What happened to objective reporting? It doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't.
On any side.
No.
I'm not picking a political ideology here. I'm saying it's all garbage.
We were with Fox News in Louisville. You might have been there on this one. I don't know if you remember this gal. You remember? Did you see her when you were there?
Mm-hmm.
The news crew was right there. How freaking amazing would that have been on TV? So, this one.
Oh
Remember
my
that one?
God, I have so many pictures of that.
Free massage for black folks.
Yeah,
And it was like
homeless black dudes walking over like, yeah, come on.
Yeah, we're not gonna put that. It's there. It's fact.
They
It's
started
what's going
attacking
on.
some of the like regular guys that are news journalists or whatever, like freelance. That's the word I was looking for. These freelance reporter journalist guys were trying to take video of what's going on and talking to people and interviewing them. And if any of the protesters didn't like who they were or what they were saying, they would start an argument. And the second they start an argument, more people show up and they start surrounding this like just freelance journalist trying to get a story or whatever he's trying to do. And then they start attacking him and they would start yelling at all of us saying that we can't videotape them yelling and attacking this guy.
Yeah.
And they would listen.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to go down this road, but I'm going to mention it in the Doloff thing. The media was following that guy around because he was so inflammatory. You know, the Trump guy.
Because it made good film.
Because he was a Trump guy and he was super inflammatory. He was looking for a fight and they were like, put the camera on that guy. That's the story we
There's
want.
good something coming out.
Then when it finally hit the fan and we all know how that ended. The only reason that guy was that upset at the people we were protecting was because every time he would, start doing something, they just put a camera right in his face. And it's
you would think he would have wanted that.
And I'm sure
He was at that Black to Blue thing that we went to, that all three of us were at. Where
But the media sees that works for their storyline, and it's like they'll follow that, and they will ignore everything else. And
they're doing that a lot more now, just with protests or anything that's going on. If it's not fitting whatever it is they're saying, they're not going to report it. They're not going to show it.
right,
And it could be some outrageous, like a good example. I can't think of his name, but he works with Alex Jones with InfoWars, and he was telling people during January 6th, he was there, but he had already gotten a permit to be out there and with a microphone telling people what he thinks is going on and what's corrupt and this, that, and the other. As people were showing up to protest at January 6th, he was telling them, don't go in there. This is a coup or not a coup, but like
it's a trap.
Yeah, it's a trap. Basically.
Yeah.
Well, he's saying that, and they put him in jail, I think for like 8 months.
Yeah.
And it was
because he was trying to stop people from going
They
in.
wanted that
Yes.
to happen so bad.
Yeah.
They needed that narrative. They needed January.
Well, think
6th.
about how limited our exposure is to these things, and just the amount that we've seen. And we were talking earlier about were we talking here or downstairs with the in Louisville where they dropped off the big boxes of rocks for people to throw at each other or whatever. We've only seen this tiny little thing. I can't imagine. And that's just in this country. Can you imagine the spin and the horse shit that's going on,
outside
say,
of that.
in Gaza, where you're trying to find the right video to meet your narrative, and how spun up the stories that come out of there must be?
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Well, I mean, just the little stories in Louisville, specifically with the homeless people, they were putting them in these beautiful, nice hotels for free, and they were bringing in stuff they had just stolen from the Target they just burnt down. Like
what was the gal that got killed down there that all the protest was about? What was her name? Started with an L.
The female, the gal.
Started with an L, I think.
I'll
I had
find it.
blocked that out of my mind.
But yeah, there was a gal who accidentally got shot by
Yeah.
the police when they were
Yeah.
serving an arrest
She
warrant
was a
on her
hero.
boyfriend or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was in her the hallway.
I
and
can't remember it.
yeah.
I think her name started with an L. But anyway, that whole thing, when you think about how often something like that happens around this country, and why do they latch on to like that particular instance? Because accidental shootings happen all the time.
Right.
Why that one? Where they come from? Why are they pushing that one? Is it to try and push the racial narrative? What are they doing? Why do they?
Seems like it.
It almost seems like they,
Breonna Taylor.
Breonna
That's
Taylor.
okay.
Yeah.
It seems like they handpick the shit.
Yeah.
Well, how many people do you think get shot by law enforcement each year, and then break it down from to race?
The demographics on that are stupid. Yeah.
The best videos I've seen where people are literally asking like, how many black people per year are shot by cops, unarmed and yada
Right.
yada, and they'll be like, I don't know, man,
Thousands.
like 200, 1,000, and it's like 7, 8.
Yeah.
Some ridiculously low number, and that's not even counting the people those are unarmed, completely unarmed. That's not counting the people that had knives. That's not counting the people, that were attacking, that were considered to have weapons. Like it's not adding in all these other circumstances that go into each individual thing, and people just focus on the race or focus on, was it a cop that
Well,
shot
I mean,
him?
look at the one of the most notable ones, the George Floyd thing, where what they did was not good police work. That was. I watched that video and I was like, that's
Could have
fucked
done
up.
that one
If
better.
I was on scene, I would have been like, get off him and transport him. Let's wrap this up, instead of what they did and sit there. Now, have I put my knee on the back of people's necks? All the time when you're trying to get them into custody, right? Control the head, control the body, right? I'm cool with that. But once he's in custody, get the fuck off him. So that was wrong. I'm just going to say that was wrong. But the way that turned into a nationwide movement was just fueled by the media. They just stoked it until
And Congress
and-
people,
and the
Maxine
rioting
Waters,
and all
The
that shit.
original autopsy was he died of fentanyl overdose.
Right.
along with
Everybody seems to forget about that.
Yeah, but nobody wanted to run that story because
No.
it didn't fit the narrative. Because what's it say? What's the news story? Like if it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
So they wanted. I almost think they wanted the unrest, the civil unrest, and the racial rioting, because it makes for good news.
And it was right before election, right?
Yeah. And on top of that, they were doing, we went out there for the jury, was it jury selection, or it was the actual court hearing that they were having with
Derek Chauvin.
Derek Chauvin and the other officers as well. But people were still finding reasons to break shit, burn shit, like just find
in
their own areas. Yeah.
Black communities.
Go to a
They're
rich.
They're burning
You're
down
burning down your own neighborhood.
black-owned businesses.
Well, and
It's like,
now you
what are
have
doing?
these corporate chains who are leaving Portland and Seattle and San Francisco, and the city, I think it was Portland's, trying to sue Walgreens or Walmart or somebody
For leaving.
for closing up and leaving because they're getting shoplifted into bankruptcy.
Who's the governor of California? Newsom.
Yeah.
He was at a CVS or it was like a iPhone store or something, or Apple store, one or the other. Either way, it was a store. Someone literally came in and was stealing stuff, and he looks at the cashier and is like, "Aren't you guys gonna do something?" She's like, "We can't because of you guys."
Because
he's like, "That's not true."
A city ordinance, I know in San Francisco passed a city ordinance that they will no longer prosecute for shoplifting if it's under $600
$900,
or $900.
and then they increased it from there
I don't
too.
think it was that they wouldn't prosecute. I think that they wouldn't take them into custody or they wouldn't consider it a felony. They sort of decriminalized it a little bit. I don't think they won't.
It's
They
like a
just-
ticketable.
They knocked it
Or
down.
they simply just didn't.
They took it from a felony because in Colorado, over 400 is a felony, if I'm remembering that correctly. Over $400 worth of theft is a felony. And that they took that 900 mark and they just bumped it up past 900 so that, which opened the floodgates for shoplifting.
Right. And then they go, well, why is all the businesses leaving?
Why is CVS leaving? Because you took everything. They have to lock up the toilet paper.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Yeah, everything's in locked glass cases, except. Oh, that sounds. I saw a news story or it wasn't a news story. It was somebody filming something. And it could have been total bullshit. But he's like, everything's locked up in here except the sunscreen. And I was like, I don't even understand.
Coincidence?
That's not right. That's not right.
Ouch.
But
That may have been a parody. I don't know.
They're locking up the dumbest shit, and they're man, just listening to people complain about why is Walmart leaving? We need Walmart. We need this, that, and the other. It's like,
should thought of that before you sacked it every day.
like, and there's videos. There was a video after it was during a protest or something where they're in Walmart and these guys are like breaking shit, knocking stuff over, and this black lady's standing in the middle. And she's like, "This is why we can't have nice shit."
Right,
like,
yelling at them.
It's like, yeah,
Right.
And you need more of that. You need more people standing up to this civil unrest and speaking as the populace to shut it down, because then the media won't portray it as victimization or reparation or whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's just plain old street crime.
Homegrown policing.
And
Right there at home.
Well, the people that
treat it as it is.
Yeah.
the people that try and stop it, like I can't think of his name, but it was up in New York on the subway where he ended up choking out. It was an ex-Marine, and there was some black dude.
That was a Portland guy too.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's this black dude is high on something, and he's running around threatening people. I think he was pushing people, and I don't have the full story. I just know he was threatening people, causing a ruckus, and saying he was going to hurt more people.
Mm-hmm.
And people were trying to stop him. And when they tried to stop him, he started assaulting them. And this guy, I think his name's Penny or something, and he ends up getting the guy down on the ground, putting him in a rear naked choke, and the guy ends up dying. I don't know if he died there. I don't know if he was holding the choke too long or what, but he ended up passing away. And now I think he's no longer facing it, but he was facing
A murder
'cause
charge?
he was a
Murder
military
charges.
guy.
Yeah, he was a Marine veteran.
Yeah.
Like, it puts fear into people that want to keep shit like that from happening. Like, imagine we're all on a job out in Oregon or California, or not California. That's two left, but like somewhere else that you're allowed. We can conceal carry there. We're a little bit safer in our minds, and then something happens, but it just so happens to have happened to a protester. What's going to happen to us if we do something to stop it? This guy pulls a knife out or whatever, and it escalates.
Well, I mean, look at Colorado. If you do one thing in eastern Colorado and you do the same thing in Boulder, the justice system is not going to be the same.
No.
Mm-mm.
If you do an act of self-defense in Greeley and the same act of defense in Boulder, you're not going to have the same results.
No.
And that's just,
you won't be prosecuted the same. You won't.
no.
The whole judicial system has a different slant to it, for sure.
It does.
During COVID, they weren't letting you bring people that you just arrested to the jail if it wasn't like a high offense.
Right.
Like if it wasn't a felony, and even then, it had to be like an outrageous felony for them to actually put them in the jail. Instead, they would have them write a ticket like, "Hey, you show up to this court date. You are accused of this, that, and the other." And like one of the dudes that worked with us, he actually lives not too far from here, was a cop down in Johnstown, but he wasn't a cop for long because he had been trying to catch this guy who was stealing catalytic converters. And he finally caught the guy under a vehicle stealing catalytic converters, goes in his vehicle, finds 50 catalytic converters in his trunk. And he's like, "Yes, I got this guy." And he calls it in, lets them know, "Hey, I'm going to be bringing this guy to wherever." I think it was Larimer or something. But they're like, "Yeah, no, just write him a ticket and have him figure it out from there." And he's like, "Are you kidding me?"
During COVID, and even for a while afterwards, we had that contract with Westminster where we were patrolling the apartments because of all the car thefts. And we would see somebody stealing a car. They were bold. They'd do it right in front of security with flashy lights and security on the door. They didn't care.
Mm.
We took their photograph. We'd call 911. Cars and the theft in process. Cars driving out of the lot. Got a photo of it. They'd be like, all right. Westminster would be like, we'll send an officer out as soon as we can. Usually it was the next day. Police officer would come out. They'd say, let's see the picture. They would write a report, and they would literally tell the car owner, give this to your insurance company. It's your police report for your insurance. And then eventually Westminster said, just stop calling us when people are stealing cars out of here, because we're just gonna come do a report. They just call the non-emergent number, schedule a time.
Stop calling it in progress.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid we arrest somebody.
Mm-mm. But they were also, I think it's Adams County out there. Their jail, they reduced the capacity. They were at 75% capacity, having nothing to do with COVID beforehand. I don't know if it was budgetary or what. This was one of the shift commanders telling us this. During COVID, they went to 50% so they could, space people out and make sure no one gets sick. So they went to 50% of capacity. So they were at capacity, and there was no one going to a jail cell unless it was a violent crime, and the criminals knew it.
It's going to get crazy in November, I think, with this election. No matter, like we were saying, no matter who wins, I think this side isn't going to believe.
Do you think there'll be some large event, though? Do you think there'll be some January 6th thing that happens? Not exactly like that, but something that's of substance like that. Do you?
On July 11th, they're going to have the last or the sentencing hearing for Trump. I think if they are ballsy enough to put him in jail right before the Republican
National Convention.
I think right before, if they do that before then, I think people will freak.
Trump will still be eligible to run for president.
Oh yeah,
even out of a jail cell.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. He can.
As ludicrous as that sounds, I don't know.
Huh.
I think they'll just give him an ankle monitor, keep him from continuing to, give him more of a gag order, because he already has a gag order. He can't talk about anything having to do with the. Yeah.
No, I've heard, and I don't know if there's any truth to it, but I've heard that the more they pick on him, the higher his poll numbers are going. Like, it's actually playing to his.
It hardens the resolve of his fan base.
Maybe not gathering new ones, but making the ones that have been behind him get behind him more.
I would think so, because now your guy's being bullied by the system. When
using the justice system as a weapon.
Right.
One of the leaders of I think it was the founder of the Black Panthers, just endorsed Trump, saying he was going to vote
That was
for him.
debunked.
No, there's a video now, because I thought the same thing.
Oh,
I
thought that was a farce.
I put a meme out there saying, "Ha ha ha! This is hilarious." Of all people to give him,
right,
the go. And then somebody said, "Oh no, this didn't really happen." So I did a little bit more research, and there's a video of it. So he's in his 80s though, so
there could be a scenario, not saying this is how it plays out, but there could be a scenario where they throw him in jail, he wins the election, becomes president, and then just turns the whole table of, now I'm going to use the justice system as a weapon on the people.
But he tried to level the playing field when he was president, and the FBI was bucking against him and not doing what they were directed to do, and changing their narrative internally.
Hit him with Russia, hit him with...
Right.
They tried impeaching him twice.
So I don't think he's going to... You can't do that without their cooperation, and he ain't going to get it.
Yeah.
Well, have you guys seen the new Civil War movie?
No. Is it
I've
good?
seen it advertised.
I saw the trailer. Is it good?
It's good.
But it's still high on to pay for. I mean, I think it was like $20 to watch it on Netflix.
Oh yeah. You gotta buy. It's on Prime. I bought it on Prime because I went to go see it in the movies. It's basically a story making journalists look like they're, I'm just trying to get the story, and if I don't do it, who will?
Which is the farthest thing from the truth.
Right. Exactly. So on that end, it was definitely skewed a little left, making people think that they're really out there to help us and stuff like that. But as far as, it is the most gruesome movie I've seen in a while that's like realistic.
Like gory?
Dead bodies actually
Oh.
looking like dead bodies. Just the way people might actually react if something like that happens, kind of vibe.
Is
was
it
good.
like election based or is it not really election?
So what's his name? The dude from what's his name? Damn it, Nick Offerman. Nick Offerman's in it. He plays the president, and they make him look like
Is
Trump.
that the
They
guy
do
from Parks and Rec?
yes. They
Oh.
do the lips. He was at the Sundance.
the stoic character from Parks and Rec.
I think he's awesome.
They make him look like Trump. Like they do the lips and everything. I'm the best president, and like he talks like that in
He's
the
a
movie,
parody of Trump.
basically.
Huh.
And
Indirect.
yeah, indirectly. And they start talking about, well, what did you think about Mr. President? Thanks for letting us interview you during this insurrection and coup. Why did you disband the FBI? Like just saying stuff that the far right have been talking about. Get rid of the ATF. We need to audit the IRS. We need to audit we should. Or what am I thinking of? Not the IRS.
ATF?
No. Who controls who controls the government? The Treasury.
Mm-hmm.
The
They're
Fed?
Yeah, they're talking about auditing that, like just saying stuff that super far right people have been saying, and they just make that character. So like you get that vibe that they're trying to take shots at far right people, and they show like the Boogaloo Boys. I don't know if you get the guys with Hawaiian shirts that are, we need to have a civil war.
This is a real thing?
It's a real thing. Dude, this is how bored I get.
That shit's never going to happen, and I'll tell you why. Because Americans are spectators; they're not doers. You don't have enough doers, and people compare it to. I've seen these memes where like the Revolutionary War started with a 2%, 3% tax raise.
We're at 21 now.
This country is full of placid sheep who, as long as their little corner of the universe is still chugging along, they're not going to give two shits about the rest of it.
There's food in the refrigerator.
Right. I'm
and a bed to
employed.
sleep in.
I'm
They're gonna
employed, and I'm not hungry. And as long as you got that, you're not going to get a groundswell of support that you would need for any sort of a real insurrection, civil war. It's just people don't care enough.
Yeah.
They just don't.
Until
give
it
a shit.
happens where they're at.
Until you have
specifically
no
to
other
them.
recourse but to take up arms. As long as your family is fed and you got a roof over your head, that
not
ain't
gonna risk it.
that ain't gonna happen.
Not gonna risk it.
So all this talk about, oh, there'll be a civil war. No, there won't. Because no one has the internal motivation enough or
What will it
commitment to it.
What do you think
The
it'll take?
Civil War,
An economic collapse.
That
Yeah, which the dollar
Right?
is not doing well. You can see the
I don't even know.
British.
I
I don't know.
I wouldn't be able to speak on that. I don't know enough about it. But you won't get people taking up arms other than fringy people unless there's an economic collapse.
What if they do another COVID where everybody needs to stay in their house?
If they do
can't go
another
out?
COVID, then the number of there'll be just like there were before. There'll be the number of people who comply and the number of people who do not. But it's not a flashpoint for a civil war. It's just not.
frustrating.
It's just there's going to be a lot of contention. Now, during COVID, when it first came out, I was like, what the fuck is this?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of science fiction post-apocalyptic movies. This is kind of scary. So I was paying attention, right? I went out and bought my Mucinex. I went out and bought my zinc supplements, and I stayed away from shit and didn't touch doorknobs, I didn't lick doorknobs and all this other stuff. But then the scales fell from my eyes a little bit, and I started seeing this for what I thought it was, and then I was no longer compliant. I was the guy you saw walking through DIA without a mask. That was me, and I was alone. Me and Brady walking through DIA, literally the two of us own it and getting dirty looks, but nobody ever said anything. I guess what I'm saying is it's not enough. It's not personal enough to be a flashpoint. It may have been before because people thought, you're endangering us all and you're going to kill us all and your lack of getting vaccinated is you should be charged with murder and all that bullshit. Okay, I can see where you're trying to stir the pot with that previously. But next go around, people are already more educated and more jaded and more cynical about it. So there's not going to be that passion that there was before about if you don't comply, you're killing
Right.
our children.
Well, they
crap.
were jailing gym owners that were trying to keep
Yeah.
their gym open.
That ain't-
Outside, moving equipment outside. You can't even do that.
that will not happen again, because people now, the majority of people know that COVID was a flu, and whatever happened after that was media driven and a bunch of bullshit. And they're not gonna be as adamant or as
Chris Cuomo is trying to. Have you seen the new videos of him where he's trying to like backtrack? Oh, I take ivermectin now, but like the videos of him on CNN talking about Joe Rogan.
yeah.
Call me crazy.
God.
This is true story. My wife and I, when we did finally have signs of COVID, and we were actually out cutting fire.
Did you get it?
Oh yeah, we got COVID. My wife and I. This is in 19.
What I'm saying is you came down with you
Yeah.
contracted
Yes.
COVID.
Tested positive.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay,
I got it
not.
while I was in
So-
police academy.
So you might have had it and
Yeah.
just not tested because it wasn't severe enough. Maybe.
Well, anytime I had flu-like symptoms, I would
You
get
could test.
tested just because. Again, I don't want to be out there, spreading it around for somebody who may be immune deficient or whatever.
Sure.
I
Older folks.
I was anti-COVID, and I was like I said, walking through the airport, but I didn't go up and get in people's faces
No,
about
it's
it.
a flu.
I wasn't being a
virus.
dick about it. I was just minding my own business.
Right.
And I think that's the kind of attitude you're going to see more of. But
Right.
continue what you're saying.
So my wife and I are out cutting firewood, and it was within an hour I started going, I just feel weak, feel a little shaky. All of a sudden I was like feverish. My wife, same thing. It was like on the drive home. By the time we both got home, we were both shaking, freezing, aching.
Ugh.
It happened really, really
Hmm.
fast. The onset of it. So
were you scared at that point?
no, I mean concerned.
Right.
Like this is
Okay.
This I don't want to be in a ventilator. I don't want to be. You
How
know,
and what in the timeline of COVID? Where were you?
towards after it had been a thing for several months.
Okay.
Three, four, at least I'd say 4 to 5 months.
So still a
after.
lot of unknowns.
Yeah, still a lot of unknown, but it was starting to be a little bit more of a, certainly the tables were starting to turn, right? So we went to my doctor, who's here in Greeley. He's an independent doctor. He doesn't bill insurance. It's a plan where you pay monthly and your services are covered under that monthly plan, whatever. It's a conservative guy, really, really good doctor. In fact, he was a Banner Health Doctor of the Year several years ago before COVID. So good doctor. Anyway, so Amber and I go down there and he tests and we show up and he's there, no mask. He's like, hey, you guys think you have COVID? Let's ram this thing up your nose. Yep, you guys have COVID. It showed up instantaneous. He's like, you definitely got COVID. And we were like, no, nothing. He goes, nope. He says, I truly believe in herd immunity with this thing. That's really how this thing will play out and how you'll be safest. So he said, you want to try something crazy? And I'm like, why not? And he goes, I've been handing out ivermectin to several people. Not a ton of science backing this, but people are, for whatever reason, showing results to it. He goes, you want to try it? He goes, it's not going to hurt you. It was
Right, because it's been around
human
forever.
dose. Yeah, it's been around forever. I said, yeah, why not? Amber and I took the ivermectin. By the end of that day, we were, other than tired and just a little bit weak, symptoms gone. And it was both of us. And I was like, could have been coincidence. Could have been. But it was the very same day that we started having the real severe. But I mean, we still had
Or a placebo effect.
some symptoms, but nowhere near like it was. And now I'm like,
Didn't Trump take that too?
yeah,
No.
he
When he
recommended
came
it.
down-
When he
crashed.
got it, that with like a quarter pounder with cheese, like the second he got it, they took him to the hospital, gave him like the full, and I mean, who knows what they gave him? Some magical, they probably have the cure for cancer for all we know, but like they probably pumped that guy full of this, that, and
Whatever's
the other.
propping up Biden
Gay-
now.
Seriously.
Gay frog blood does it.
I don't think he's going to do a debate. I don't think they're going to do
They have one scheduled, don't they?
Yeah, but they're making it to where after a certain amount of time, they'll cut his mic off. They won't let anybody interrupt each other. But
They take all the fun out of the debate.
yeah, especially with him. Like he's the first, him and Hillary, that debate, like after that, I was like, okay.
That redefined
I
debate.
think I like this guy.
The line where he said, "If I was in charge, you'd be in jail," to Hillary, she must be laughing her ass off
Oh,
right
God,
now,
yeah.
knowing that he's on the hook for possibly.
He's
going
getting
to
there.
jail. But how does Hillary get away with that? That's the hard part for me. Is like there's two totally different.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
statements of
my
justice.
favorite one was when the anchor was like, "So, Mr. President, is it true that you use tax loopholes to keep from having to pay your federal taxes?" He's
They're
like,
legal.
yeah. "Yeah, I do, and so do Hillary's friends.
All of
I
her
actually know them."
all of her not
Benefactors.
sponsors, the people who contribute
Yeah.
to her election.
She's not going to change any of those laws or write any new bill that's going to change any of that because the people that pay her money don't want it to happen.
If it's
So,
legal, take advantage of every
Yeah.
loophole.
yeah.
Why wouldn't you? It'd be stupid not to.
Yeah.
It's within the law.
Portraying it as a bad thing that was a weak point for them.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. I'm looking forward to.
But you were talking about the election and the fallout from it. I don't see now if they lock him up and shit starts getting really shady, you are going to see a groundswell of support and unrest. That will happen, but not in mass, not a nationwide movement. Because my personal political beliefs is I voted for Trump. I thought he did a good job as president. I think personally he has a lot of work to do. I think that he's an unlikable politician because of the stupid shit he says. And so I support him politically, but personally I think
We could do better.
He needs to dial it down.
Turn off
But
Twitter.
here's the paradox. So is that brash, outspoken, just completely unhinged personality? Is that the same? Does that come from the same place that motivates him to do the political things he did with building the wall and international relations and taking hard stances on things that we all like about him politically as a president? Does that come from the same place? And can you have one without the other? Because I would love it if Trump would just be the president and do the political agendas that he has and keep his mouth shut. That'd be great.
That's a good question because North Korea, they wouldn't do anything with Trump in office.
No.
And then you wonder,
Or Russia.
They hear him, see him, and he says, I'm gonna do this X, Y, Z. As crazy as that may sound, you have to wonder if they're going.
Would he?
He might. Let's set this one out.
He's not bluffing.
And
If you were
could
going
you
to,
have a quiet, soft-spoken guy with the same effect? I don't know. That's a super.
if
good
you were
question.
another country, if you were North Korea or Russia,
yeah.
if there was ever a time to do something,
Oh, now is it? And it's happening.
and when your own citizens of America don't think that America's where, like, I don't feel secure, and I know millions of other people that don't feel secure either. Like it feels like if something could happen, it would happen now. And I agree that I don't see a civil war happening, but I could definitely
Unrest.
see, yeah.
I could see
In
unrest.
small things. As much unrest as there was with Antifa, and that would be the max that it would.
They'll let them unrest.
No. I'm saying that magnitude, that degree of unrest to give
Right.
it, to give it a
Well, if
reference.
Trump
gotcha.
gets elected, I could see the Antifa folks
There would be more.
burning down their
They would.
cities.
I would 100% agree with that. There will be more civil unrest if he gets elected than if he does not.
Right.
Well, they're
Now,
changing.
That will level out if it was shady getting him run out, like they lock his ass up or there's more election fraud spoken of. If those things happen, now you're building a groundswell of support.
I don't think they're going to lock him up. I think the Democrats are smart enough to go, this isn't going to
This
go
ain't
well."
gonna look good.
Martyrdom is
Yeah.
This
hard
isn't going
hat
to be
to wear.
spun in our favor if we
Mhm.
lock him up. It just validates everything he just said.
Well, and it feeds into all the conspiracy theories of rigged elections and every other thing. So yeah, you're just fanning those flames.
Well, what's a not a rigged election, but election interference. What could you consider election interference? Would it be literally putting in votes in voting machines,
Well, look at
the
those,
laptop
look at
that
those-
they said wasn't real and had 50-something FBI agents say, "I don't think this is real at all, and I'm a FBI agent." Like,
I think when you look at some of the video I've seen where people were showing up at polling centers with bags of late ballots and stuff, that's some shady shit.
1,000 Mules, I think, is the documentary.
Shady shit, and that's going to create a groundswell of support. That kind of thing can be super volatile. So whoever's in charge of election integrity better have it locked down, because either way that goes, that's going to be the first cry.
Both sides have shown distrust,
Sure.
and both sides
made
have
accusations.
said the election's rigged. When Trump won, it was rigged. When Hillary won, it was rigged. Or Biden won, it was rigged.
Right.
Both Democrat and Republican, left and right, have screamed,
Mhm.
"It's rigged. It's right." So the transparency and the authenticity of the whole election, both sides have doubts, to say the least.
I can't remember if it's North Carolina or where it is, where that pipe burst. I think it was Georgia or something during the night before.
The water pipe.
Yeah, the water pipe
Yeah.
burst at where they were taking everybody's vote, and the water pipe burst, and then after they fixed it and everything, early that morning, they're like, "Oh, we finally counted
We
everything.
found a bunch of votes.
300,000 votes. Whew, it's a good thing we found those." And it's like you can literally see the pie chart going up and then Biden going up and over. Like,
That's what was so stupid about it. Was it they would close down at night for like that pipe break. Trump had a significant lead. They shut it down. They come back and they go, "Well, overnight after we fixed the pipe, we found 300,000 votes," and they were like 299,000 of them were all Biden. So
I
he
think-
won.
Weird.
Yeah,
think
it
people
was-
are gonna-
come on.
people are going to try and stand outside of those election areas, wherever you're putting your ballots in, the ballot areas, and they're going to try and keep people from stuffing ballots. And
Well, they have election auditors at
but
polling
not
places.
24/7. That's the thing. And they have those ballot boxes that people can take the mail-in ballots and shove them in there. And they had just changed that right before the 2020 election. They made it to where it's more available to do mail-in ballots, and because of COVID and because of whatever else was going on.
I don't understand what the opposition is to voter ID. I can't figure it out.
Well, it's
You
racist.
gotta go on the airplane,
No,
you
sure,
gotta show
you
up.
know.
But it,
It's
Because-
racist.
because-
but
no,
for
because-
normal
because the people who-
middle-class Americans, how do you possibly sleep at night going, "That's racist"? You can't.
You don't.
possibly
It's
believe
a media-driven straw. It's a straw dog. It's bullshit, because the people that don't have the IDs are the people that are going to vote for Democratic, and so they're willing to eliminate that to get. Why do you think there's 10,000 illegals crossing the border every goddamn day to bolster those numbers? That's taking place. But if you're talking about voter ID being racist, that's insane.
It's
That's insane.
makes no
What American citizen doesn't have some form of ID?
right.
Was it the New York governor that was saying that black people don't even know what
How to
laptops
use
look
the
like?
internet?
They're
Yeah.
too stupid,
They're-
but they're racist.
There was a
right.
black YouTuber that did a video where he's like dressed like a caveman, going into an Apple store, picking up laptops, going, and like
Yeah.
throwing it off.
Yeah, hitting
But
it.
that has
hitting it
got to
with
be
Yeah.
one of
force.
the most moronic arguments that
Yeah.
when people say, "Oh, it's, voter ID is racist," I'm just like, I objectively try and like look at it any way I can, find any angle, and it's like it's not there.
Have
No.
you heard of Ami
It's-
Horowitz?
Oh yeah,
I'm-
I met him in Louisville.
Did you really?
Yeah.
You messing with me or are you serious?
No, I'm dead serious. He was when we were.
No shit.
Were you with me? No, who was the other guy that was attached to me? What was his name? The guy I roomed with.
Was it John?
Anyway.
No, big guy,
No,
not John Waters.
no. Anyway, we were following the parade around, and I found is it Ari? Is that his name?
Ami Horowitz.
Ami. I saw him and I go, "Hey, I know you." I see. He's like, "Yeah." And we ran around the same places, and he was doing what he did
That's
when
awesome.
as the parade went along, and I talked to him a little bit, and he was telling me what he's trying to find people that are going to speak to this or speak to that, and Yeah. See, and he was completely unattended.
Oh, dude, he did a video specifically talking about voter ID laws, and he talked to a bunch of college students in New York or wherever, and he's like, "Excuse me, do you think voter ID laws are racist?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, I think it's super racist." Okay, why? Well, like a lot of black people, I'm sorry, African Americans don't know like how to get internet. They don't know what Wi-Fi is, or they can't pay for Wi-Fi, and
like read or write.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
It's
the
like-
And we're the racists.
the most horrible things you could say. And then it cuts to him going, "Hi, I'm here in New York, down in Queens. Excuse me, fellow American." And starts asking black people,
Do you
like,
have ID? Or
Yeah.
"Oh, yeah.
Do you know how to vote?
Yeah, what kind of question is that? Of course I have a driver's license.
I've seen
Do you
that.
know where the DMV is?" And this dude literally, yeah, go down 27th Avenue, take a left on 83rd Street, and then right on Harmony is down there. And like watching those two
It's
different
ridiculous, yeah.
video, like it's like
Mm.
watching it like that, you have to be a complete moron to think that what you're saying makes sense. Oh, black people don't know how to do anything, I guess, in your eyes. Like,
That's why I don't understand the middle class Americans, which is the majority of Americans. How do they not just be like, seriously? Like
It's,
I don't,
it's
I
not. It's not that. It's
Yes.
apathy. They don't care.
Don't,
They don't
I think it's a mixture of that and
laugh it off.
empathy. A lot of people care too much, and they think that the
no,
goal is
no. You hear these people.
Right.
These people have microphones in front of them, but the majority of people don't give a shit. Does Amber give a shit about any of this at all? No, Amy couldn't give a flying fuck about politics. I'm not allowed to talk about it because she just don't care,
Yeah.
right? And the vast majority of people in this demographic, they don't fucking care because, as I stated earlier, it doesn't affect them, so I don't care.
Yeah, that's fair.
and
So
they're-
it's
and
not
you're
that the
only-
media is selling this like, oh no, I really believe that black people don't have IDs. No one's buying that. That's just lip service garbage. And most of the people quietly roll their eyes and just get on with their lives because I don't give a fuck what's outside this box. And I've gotten there too because I used to be really. I mean, I was like. Listening to Rush Limbaugh every freaking day on talk radio. When I was doing carpentry stuff, I had headphones on and I'd listen to Rush
Right.
and Alan Combs and all those people. And I was like, really, political, blah. And then one day it just dawned on me, who gives a fuck?
I'm
What
getting
diff-
wound up for
Well,
what?
yeah, what difference does it make? What difference does my opinion or my blood pressure have to do with what? None, zero, nothing. So why am I tearing myself up over this horse shit?
Yeah.
I'm not making a
Because they
dent
can
in it.
eat you up after a
I'm
while.
not making a dent in it. Now, if you got popular enough, say you started a podcast and you gained some gained some footing, right, and then you could utilize that passion like Joe Rogan does, and who's the
Sean
other?
Ryan's really I
Right.
think he's Navy SEAL. Like he has real
Right.
people on his
So
podcast.
his political opinions and his fervor for expressing them has an impact. It makes a difference. But to what degree? He's in an echo chamber. He's preaching to the choir. He's talking to people who already feel that way. No one is sitting there wearing having
Changing their mind.
blue hair and black clothing, going, "Hey, you know what? That fucking that Hannity and Combs thing. I think I learned something today. I've done this. Try this. I don't know if you do this. We're talking about the algorithms and everything. I have started seeking out liberal media people, on social media, and hitting their sites to try and change the shitty echo chamber that is my social media, and it's bad. It's really bad. Like you said, the videos that are catered to you, it's just I almost got bored with the monotony of it. I'm like, I need something else. So I started plugging into liberal ones, and I was fucking amazed. Not as in, wow, you know what, that really made me think. As in, are you fucking kidding me that you think this way?
Mm-hmm.
And it instead of I think people should expose themselves to varying opinions because it will bolster your belief in them. Because I was watching these people talk about Gaza and what the Israelis are doing, And I'm like, you can't really believe that. You're for real with this stupid shit? And it was more affirming in my own beliefs, ironically, by exposing myself to their viewpoint.
Right.
Holly hates it when I have like Czech Uyghur or however you say his name on. He like him and all these other more liberal journalists, if you want to call them that, talking about their side of things and what they think is going on and why all the other people on this side are stupid. So I love looking at all the different sides just so I can.
I'm dumbfounded.
I have to apologize because truly I have never watched an entire Joe Rogan podcast episode ever.
Oh,
Disgusting.
I used to listen. I
Does
used to
he
listen to him.
lean left, right, or is he fairly center?
He's fairly centrist.
Yeah. He was super liberal in his 30s and 40s, like more like leaning. He had hippie parents growing up, grew up in California, New York kind of area.
So he's kind of has a platform to
But
speak
he's-
to both sides.
He's a hunter. Yeah, and he speaks to both sides. He had Bernie Sanders on his podcast. Like he's had big names on his podcast.
He
that
said
are
he would
from-
never have Trump on his show.
I think that's I so hope, because I want somebody that has that mindset that Joe Rogan has with the interviewing capabilities.
There was talk of him doing moderating for the debates.
What about White, the guy that runs the UFC or whatever?
Oh, Dana
He's-
White.
He's a
I love him.
conservative. Like he's pretty big supporter.
He's
of
got
Trump.
fuck you money.
Oh, major.
Isn't him and Rogan buds?
There was a
Yeah.
video.
But doesn't mean
Rogan-
they're politically aligned.
Yeah.
no, but they are buds. They
What
talk.
threw
My
Joe
understanding.
Rogan?
Yeah.
What threw Joe Rogan off was when the whole trans debate, when they started saying, "Oh yeah, no, men that identify as women can fight in the UFC and fight women," and like
He was like, no.
yeah,
no
he's
way.
like, no, bone struck, and like he has had scientists, like
Mhm.
people that really know what they're talking about on his podcast. So he's like, men and women have different bone densities. Men have
Well,
different muscle structure. Like
that one trans fighter, Fox,
yeah,
is his
Fallon
name?
Fox.
broke some chick's skull.
Yep, and he brings that up all the time. But that's kind of he started getting in arguments with people that he respected. And I mean, I can't speak for him obviously, but like he's just listening to him talk about this stuff is hilarious because he has people that really know what they're talking about tell him no, what they're saying makes no sense. Hormone blockers, they don't just pause your hormones when you're like 10 or 11 and you're a boy going through puberty. Like you need those things not just to help you grow, but you need them to help your brain grow.
But you're
body
not
grow. Like,
you're not genetically re-engineering an adult human with those hormones. Does
Yes.
it change them to a certain degree? Oh yeah, you get some man boobs and whatever happens when you do that. There are changes, but the physicality of who you've been for the last 20, 30 years, no, you're still the same.
the hormone
You know what
blockers.
would end this whole thing right now is if they let men declare that they're females, NBA players, and go play in the WNBA.
I want
It'd be
LeBron
game
James.
over. Game
I want
over.
LeBron
It'd be
James.
slam dunking.
It
with a
would be
wig.
game over. They would be like, all right, we got to stop. This is
Well,
stupid.
and
And
this
that
is,
would end it.
but this is one of those things where it's so blatantly obvious that this is wrong to have men participating in women's sports. How the fuck do you get behind that, especially as a woman?
Right?
How do you get behind that?
Slowly deteriorating anything that you
Talking
could
about
call a sport.
Porn. Ooh, do we want to honor and respect women? Do we want to, it's like, ugh.
My whole thing on
Feminists have to
all
be
that
pissed.
shit is you do what you want to do.
Yeah.
If you want, if it's in your head that you can relate more to being a woman than a man and you want to change your appearance, go for it. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you do in your bedroom. I don't care how you dress. It doesn't affect me in the slightest bit. But if you're going to try to force that on me through drag queen story hour or depriving female athletes of scholarships, that's a fucking problem because you're affecting other people now.
Right now, you're stepping on other
Right.
people's
So do you
Right.
dress just like a man, dress like a woman, pretend to be a man, think you're a man, woman. I don't give a shit.
Have
Just
sex
don't
with whoever he
don't
wants.
inflict it upon everyone else, and don't expect me. I think Shapiro speaks to that. Don't expect me to play along.
Right.
Because I'm not going to. I'm not delusional. I know that you're a man dressed like a woman, and I'm not going to pretend that you're not. I'm not going to disrespect you.
Right.
There's a guy that I know and used to see at the racetrack, and he's my age, and he transitioned, and I still follow him on Facebook just to see how he's living his life, because I want to know what a real person is like in that stage. And he's not super militant about it, and so I can kind of respect that. If you're going to do that, you do you, bro.
Quietly live your life.
If you want to, and this was like Mr. Alpha Racer.
Right.
It'd be like if you put on a blue wig and said, "Hi, I'm Matina." I'd be like, "Okay, bro. So you do you, but don't try to push that on me, or don't get pissed at me if I get it wrong."
They're changing laws, or I think they already changed it out in California, making it to where a school doesn't have to tell you if your kid is identifying as whatever, goes by a different name, whatever they want at the school won't tell you. Not only that, they are making it to where you can the kid can go through the school to go get put on hormones, and the parent doesn't have to know any of it.
Messed up.
That's fucked.
That's child abuse. That is what
to them it's not, and they make it to where they can get those children emancipated. They can put them in a home, let them finish whatever they're going through. And I was an angry kid growing up, and you could have pointed me in any direction, and if I had people that were acting like they cared about whatever I was saying, or you know what, yeah, I was feeling kind of depressed the other day, and I'm 10 years old or something, like, oh, I put some high heel shoes on. Oh, you know what you should do? Like,
yeah, let them.
It snowballs.
If you have an inclination like that as a kid, I don't say you dissuade them, but you also don't encourage them. Just let them do what they're going to do. I don't think that if a boy, because I mean there are effeminate men and there are masculine girls, and I don't think you try to steer them one way or another to suit as your children. You don't try to steer them one way or another.
Right.
You just let them. I mean, when we grew up, how many tomboys did you know?
Yeah.
They didn't end up being men. They were just chicks that could fuck around,
play in the mud, ride the bike fast.
Right. Yeah, climb a tree, and they were tomboys, and that was perfectly acceptable all the way through any conservative 1950s household. Nobody gave a shit because it wasn't trying to change what's reality. It's a girl who has masculine traits. Fine, but don't tell me it's a boy, because it ain't.
Well, that's an issue now, is they're finding that there are less tomboys and less bulimia. They because that was a big issue. Little girls that are going through hormones, through puberty and stuff like that, are having issues now where usually they'd have, whatever going on in their life where they're just throwing up. They're doing whatever. They have some disorder going on. That's now turning into bulimia going down and transitioning going up. So more girls, and I can't think of the lady, but she was on Joe Rogan, and she does these studies, and she wrote a book about it, how people don't realize how many young girls are being influenced by TikTok and stuff like that now in the LGBTQ plus LMNOP community, that are influencing these young girls that might have been bulimic or might have had some other disorder or whatever, are now honing in on, oh, well, if I just say I'm gay or trans or whatever, I'll have right off the bat a giant community that'll be like, high five, thumbs up, like, you're great, you go, queen.
Also, you become untouchable. There are students children that walk around who have accepted this identity, and they know that they have a lot more latitude in whatever the hell they want to do, because no one's going to say anything, because then they'll play, it's not a race card anymore, it's the trans card. Yeah. So you can cry foul. So you got two kids in school, both are smoking in the bathroom. The kid who's heterosexual gets X because nobody gives a shit. He doesn't have an agenda or an iPad behind him. Right. Whereas the kid who dresses like a girl, no one's going to say a fucking word to him because they're afraid.
You look at the school systems and you look at like where things were in the 50s. Not that I was around.
Talking in the mic. Sorry. It wasn't picking it up.
When so I have a shop teacher that used to talk about this all the time. He was like, I grew up in the 50s and early 60s, and if two boys wanted to fight, They'd throw them outside and go fight, get it over with, and come back in and let's get school going again. And that was the end of it.
Mhm.
Like they handled it. And I think the school systems just started feminizing everything, way back when, way to the point where now if you just have a boy with a lot of energy, you're giving him Ritalin. You're trying to slow him down.
Adderall.
It's just a boy. He's got energy. He wants to go do stuff. And they're like, well, it's a condition. We're going to call it ADHD.
Yeah. If you don't have an acronym for what's wrong with you, then you're out of touch.
Right.
Here's some SSRIs.
No longer
you'll be
is it
good.
acceptable for a boy just to be a freaking boy, And I remember even when I was a kid in school, on recess, we'd go out and pull the limbs off the tree that looked like handguns and play cowboys and Indians, and no one cared. No one's feelings were hurt. No one whatever, and we would play army or with this or that or whatever. Right. And it's like at some point the schools stopped letting boys be boys, and it was no longer acceptable for boys to be boys. And I think that started the snowball. Well, that's not acceptable. Well, then
in terms like toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys seen that Gillette commercial? It was like a Super Bowl ad.
No.
And oh man, look it up after this. It's horrible. It starts out with some dads cooking and flipping some burgers and some kids wrestling in the background, and like they take it too far or something. And the dad goes, "Boys will be boys." And then it'll show another dad cooking on a grill, and like it just does this 20 times. Boys will be boys. And like it's talking about toxic masculinity and how some guy saying how hot a chick is as she's like catcalling her or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the other guy steps in front. "Hey man, you can't do that." Like just like a white knight kind of vibe, but they were just pushing that toxic masculinity, this, that, and the other. And it just, they're putting it in everything. The new Star Wars show that just came out, like there's a video interview of the director and the lead actress, and they're like, "Yeah, this is the gayest Star Wars film I think ever." And the director's like, no, what, really? Yes. Like just like it was horrible.
It's like Indiana Jones now. Oh my gosh.
I didn't see it.
What?
Was there a woman that did the lead or something?
No,
the newest one?
No, I'm talking about like the original Harrison Ford Indiana.
Yeah.
That guy was masculine. I mean, that movie now would be like.
Well, what did they do with the last one they just released like a year or two ago?
I don't know.
It was
a female
too,
lead?
Yeah, well, to an extent, it was Harrison Ford as the lead, obviously, but one of the other main characters was the daughter of another professor, and like she was one of the other lead characters, and you'd get those like little jabs at strong masculine men, like, "Oh, that's so 1990s," or like it would be little shit like that, but it wasn't a bad movie.
Yeah.
But most of the Disney movies that they're coming out with now are just, it's like, come on, man. My kid can't watch Miss Rachel now because Dylan Mulvaney might be in one of the new episodes. Like, for toddlers.
Shit's ridiculous.
Yeah.
For toddlers.
That's crazy.
And why are you trying to force this agenda on children? I watched this clip of a gay pride parade, and all these men were on a float wearing thongs and cock socks. Okay? And they're doing helicopter moves with their cock socks. I shit you not. And there's how they have the little commentators on the parade? And they're like,
Hands
"Oh, what do you
down.
think about this?" And they're like, "Oh, we think this is great. And we're
That's
great. We're really happy.
beautiful."
We're really happy to see all the kids turn out and cheering." And I'm like, why would that be of interest to you? Why did you say that? That's fucked up.
It's not love. It's not love anymore.
No.
It's how, don't shame my kink. Don't, and everybody can have their own thing. Like, your batch of cookies is your batch of cookies.
I think the whole premise of identifying yourself by your sexuality is completely misguided.
Yes.
I don't drive my car around with a stencil on the back that says "I like pussy." Okay.
Right.
Okay. I don't have a flag that shows somebody eating at the Y. I don't have this shit on my. I don't
Heterosexual pride.
advertise this, right?
Yeah.
So why do they feel it's necessary? Like I said, if you want to have sex with whoever you want, as long as it's not a kid, I don't give a fuck
Or a
what
donkey.
trips your trigger. I don't care. I don't know why you feel you have to put it in my face.
It's
Right.
a pendulum. I feel
I
like
don't
it's
get
gonna
it.
swing
Well,
hard the other way.
So here's on that point, I was listening to somebody talk the other day about the fall of the Roman Empire and how right before the fall, and of course there's a million reasons of why that happened, but
This is over 100-something years.
One aspect of it was the androgynous movement of their social structure and the hedonistic behaviors that came with it, and all of that became a distraction and a compulsion for them, and they stopped with this drive of conquest and ruling, and they became this weird hedonistic vomitorium fucking orgy thing with gender bending, and his assertion was that it contributed to the downfall of that civilization.
Yeah. The downfall of that was like spanned over 100-something years, probably like 100, 200 years. But like it was all those little things combined over time slowly deteriorates that civilization. And to give an example to that, one of the books that they were trying to keep in the library that just got put in there by the school board was completely okay was This Book is Gay. And in that book and other books, it literally talks about
it
kink
depicts
play.
sexual acts. Yeah,
Scat play, and I'll have to bleep that out, but like
I don't know what that is.
it's playing with shit
Oh.
sexually.
Wait, that's that's a term.
Yeah.
Scat play.
Well, that's what they call it, so that it's PG in the book. So like, well, we don't want to say shit in a children's book.
Play with your own poo?
I don't.
You would think that's a good question, and why would you put that book in a school, whether it's high school or elementary school or whatever?
There's two people that play with their own poop. They're the 2-year-old that gets his diaper off and goes, awesome, marker on the shower wall, and mentally ill people. That's it. Mentally ill.
My dog likes to roll in poo sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh God! I just saw the worst video where this homeless dude shits on the sidewalk,
Oh,
and
what's
then
that
2
like?
seconds later,
Remember L.A.
oh God!
when we saw the guy shitting on the sidewalk?
Oh yes, I do. Just walking by and he's just on the sidewalk.
He's just taking a shit, and I
just
look, and this was
broad middle of the day.
6 years ago, so it wasn't like it is now. You see that in Portland, I guess. So what? But this was when it was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was the middle of the day.
They
It wasn't night.
No, it was broad daylight,
It wasn't like the cover of night.
and it was in the middle of the sidewalk with pedestrians everywhere.
We were
They
like,
have an app for that. There's a literal app where every time somebody sees human crap, they put it in the app.
They have
And when you look at accumulated over a year, and this was like a couple years ago in 2021, like when you accumulate it over the entire year, San Francisco is just covered in shit, like little emojis all over this. Like it's disgusting. But the video I just watched, the homeless dude takes a grumpy on the sidewalk. 2 seconds later, some guy's walking his dog. His dog walks up, goes, and then rolls all over it. I'm like, you need to go now.
There's
Bye,
gotta
dog.
be some
You're not
health
mine.
issues, right?
But see, my
Human
thing
shit,
when
health issues.
when I watch all this stuff, like we talked about with the shoplifting and the shitters and the fentanyl fucking bent over zombies and all that bullshit, you see all that in Portland and Seattle and San
Fort
Francisco.
Collins.
I have not seen it in Fort Collins.
I
Fentanyl
have-
zombies in Fort Collins.
Oh, dude. I
Okay.
have a camera, not to cut you off. Go ahead
Okay,
and finish.
so when I watch this and the complete chaos that has become these West Coast cities, part of me is like,
Good.
you reap what you sow.
Yeah,
You created this.
right.
Your city is dying. San Francisco is dying economically, and I just sit back and go, meh. I have no sympathy
Natural
for it. I
selection.
don't care. I
Yeah.
don't care because you and your bullshit political agenda legislation have created this, and now your chickens come home to roost. Bon appetit.
But they're doing
It's
it
like
everywhere.
The female athletes, the feminists were like, oh, blah 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 blah, and then they all come in and dominate women's sport, and they're like, shoot, now what? Like, you asked for it, you wanted it.
You opened the door.
Yeah.
Well, is it Leah who's that chick that swam against Leah
That's-
Thomas?
Riley Gaines.
Yes. She has been on a bunch of interviews, a bunch of podcasts.
She's solid.
Oh man, just listen to her. They cornered her in one of the colleges where she was speaking at.
She's
like,
super articulate.
Yeah, and hearing her talk, if that was my daughter, if that was your daughter,
That got deprived of a scholarship or
I don't know what I would
advancement to
do.
the Olympics or whatever the hell
worked
they wanted to
so
do,
hard for the past decade trying to be the best of the best, Olympic level.
and have some dude come in and snatch it.
What would you do? You know what I mean?
Be hot.
It makes me crazy because I'm sitting here thinking, I'm trying to put myself in other people's shoes. And I'm telling myself, man, what would I do? I can't understand how people get family members or whatever get killed by some crazy person. And you're sitting in court and you're reading a statement to somebody. You would have to peel me off with the jaws of life off of whoever. Like, they better be in a room because I will grease myself up and none of the cops are going to be able to keep me off of this person.
Hold on. Picture you all greased up.
Oh, dude.
You'd be naked too, right?
I went on a rant. Yeah, right. I went on a rant with Holly.
Just throwing it out there.
I went on a rant with Holly, and she had to like calm me down because I was like, yeah. And then I'd have you like have a bunch of grease in your purse or something, and we just like start lathering me up, except my hands, so I could like really get a good grip. She's like, chill. This hasn't happened. And I'm like, but what if it did? It drives me nuts just thinking about it though. But we're hitting 2 hours, man.
Yeah, I
should have some content to edit now.
I think so. This is going to be a fun episode editing. Thank you for coming out, guys.
You know what I like about this though is because Amy won't discuss politics with me, and I don't really have anybody to talk about politics, and I don't get really rowdy about it, but I enjoy discussing it. And I don't have that outlet. So this is kind of nice to at least express your views and speak what's on your mind without, well, and it's easy because we're all kind of on the same page. What would be interesting is to bring other people in from the opposition and have an adult conversation with
where
somebody
we can disagree
who's left leaning. Now we're not like, mad fucking MAGA,
Right.
goofballs. So you find somebody who is moderate left, because I'm not far right by any stretch in my own mind. I'm very socially moderate. I don't care about the decriminalization of marijuana. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about a lot of social issues. Hell, my son's gay, right? And he got married to an awesome dude. Love this guy. So I don't care about these issues. These are not problems to me. So I consider myself right-leaning. What you need to do is you need to find somebody who's left-leaning who still isn't just this fervent maniac who can't have a conversation without losing their temper. You need to that's what you need to do.
I would have to do that somewhere else, not my my studio.
You must know somebody who's left-leaning.
I do. My brother's a little left-leaning, but he's also in his 20s. So he's trying to find out where he settles in a lot of things. So I'm definitely looking forward to having those conversations with him, but I also don't want to it's my brother. I don't want to ruin that kind of relationship.
Right, but
I have an idea. Find like a city council member. They always would like exposure and be on a podcast or whatever, and they're most of the time left-leaning, but then have just an adult conversation with them about stuff.
I feel I would do my research before then and fucking destroy. If I'm bent on something,
you don't want to go into that one.
How many was that, and when did that happen? You better have your shit wired.
Oh yeah.
That's why Ben Shapiro and those guys are so fucking deadly. Is because
kill it.
Fact, and they got them all just.
Oh please, really? Tell me.
I have good conversations with my brother who is left-leaning, and we have very passionate conversations, but we don't lose our shit. Right, we keep it together. He came and visited last month, and we were discussing what's going on in Gaza, and he sees it a little bit differently than I do, but we had a great conversation. In the end, I was like, you know what? I actually felt like I was influenced by some of what he said. I'm like, I hadn't really thought about that, and that that kind of makes sense to me. This is where this matters. Because us sitting here jerking each other off, it doesn't matter. Who cares? We're
so smart.
We came in here. We came in here feeling the same way as we're leaving. What you need to do is you need to have a conversation that's provocative and thought provoking that somehow broadens your perspective. Yeah. Not change your mind necessarily,
right?
But at least give
reinforce what you believe too.
Like I was telling you,
Yeah.
watching those liberal sites. I watched that D.L. Hughley. He's a comedian, but now he's a political commentator. He is way out there. And that, when I hear him say some of the shit that he says, I'm just like, wow.
I feel pretty good about my stance.
It's like when
Right.
it's not met with anything.
But that's easy to dismiss those
Yeah.
people, just like it's easy to dismiss MAGA people
Right.
because they're fringy. You've got to find the people who aren't, who have some degree of
Decorum.
of neutrality or
Who are not so wrapped up into it.
Right,
They're
who-
just
who-
living day to day.
who
with
aren't stone,
beliefs.
their
Yeah.
minds aren't closed.
Yeah.
They're willing to have a conversation and actually fucking listen.
Yeah.
I think that would be an interesting podcast.
I have some thoughts. If you guys know anybody, especially if they're a veteran, I would love the main vibe.
Tough to find a veteran that's
I
left
know,
leaning.
yeah. I saw a commercial the other day where it's a bunch of vets trying to push gun control. Well, I know the only time I've ever had to use my weapon is overseas, and I don't think I'll ever need an AR-15 in America. And I was like, Jesus, shut up.
I like the leftist podcast where they're saying, well, if there was a civil war, then it's all these rednecks and their daddy shotgun versus the U.S. military. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
you're wrong on 2 counts because those rednecks got a nice gun cabinet
Yeah.
that you have no idea what's in there. And I've seen them, let's just say before my boating accident, I've seen these things,
And they
right?
are the military.
And,
A lot of them make
and
that.
so you have this aspect
Yeah.
of they're not a bunch of redneck hillbillies with Pappy's shotgun.
Yeah.
That's wrong. And the U.S. military is never going to fire on its own citizens. That's never going to happen. We don't have
Knock
that.
on wood.
We don't.
There's a third aspect.
It'll never
that I
happen.
got.
Well, hold on, let me just
Oh,
finish
yeah,
this thought.
sorry.
So that's never going to happen because, again, people aren't passionate enough. This isn't the revolutionary war. People aren't passionate enough to mow down their own
I
citizens.
think they want one. They want something to be passionate about. That's why you see people at these protests. Because they're like
That's a whole nother
all the
fucking
people that
podcast.
are crazy now, they're like these kids that are pro-Palestine, blah, blah, blah. They don't, a lot of them don't even know. They just want to
They
get
just
behind
want something to
something.
get fired up
Listen
about.
to me, listen to me.
But the last point of that is the military is predominantly right-leaning individuals.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're not going to take that side. They're not going to take that side. It's not going to happen.
I had a fourth argument made to me by a Navy SEAL, friend of mine up in Wyoming. He said, and he's a military strategist type guy, like he's knows his stuff, and he goes, if it was that easy, why has no one ever been able to take Afghanistan, which is a bunch of dudes with AK-47s in caves?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what it would. I mean, no one.
Guerrilla
Russia's
warfare.
tried. U.S. has tried. Everyone's tried.
Well, when you look at
no
the
one
guns,
can take Afghanistan.
you look at the guns per capita in the
Yeah.
United States, and you look at like that famous quote from
The Japanese general,
he's an admiral.
behind a glass.
yeah,
or
behind
side of
every
like
blade of grass,
Is
there
an
will be an
American with a
American.
rifle.
God, I was waiting to put that quote in there, you fucker.
What was his name? Can't remember his name. Started with an H. But anyway,
No.
yeah, that's no, maybe it's Yamamoto. I don't know. Anyway,
Trisha Takanawa.
these
Edit.
that's a fact. You can't the U.S. military and its numbers can never conquer the U.S. population.
Nope.
It just would never happen.
Ukraine
never
itself, they took everybody's guns, and then the second this started kicking off with Russia, they started giving people
I'm like,
guns.
here, take it back.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
I mean, we can
guerrilla
keep saying it.
warfare, like what happens in Afghanistan,
Sure.
the U.S. with all its technology, Russia with all its technology,
Wolverines.
can't
Well,
get them.
What
Can't take it.
what turned the tide in the Revolutionary War was the fact that they stopped standing in a line
Yeah.
against the redcoats when they had no fucking shoes
Hey, let's
and trying to
find a
take
tree.
on the world's greatest army
Yeah.
mano a mano. No,
Like
they hid
gentlemen.
behind the trees and got things. Lexington, Concord, when the British were marching to Lexington, they were picking them off all the frigging way, the whole way, just blasting them. It wasn't until they reached at Lexington or was it Concord? I don't know. It wasn't until they reached that point, with shot heard around the world. There was a lot more shots before that one. I can
Oh,
assure
yeah.
you that. That's when they stood up and did it.
Well, they tried taking their guns. That was the main thing. Was the British were like, okay, we need to get to these.
Yeah, there was
places.
a cache of
Yeah.
weapons.
They had a cache of weapons, and the townspeople were like, fuck you. We know if they get our guns, what are we gonna do
We're
then?
done.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Mel
fucked.
Gibson showed us all what you can do with a couple muskets. So,
Mm.
the Patriot.
In a car with
Mm.
a supercharger.
Yeah.
All right. I got
Thanks, guys.
Pick up your dingle dangle, wrap it around your neck.
Pick up your dingle dangle, wrap it around your neck.
Well, I got a dingle dangle 10 feet long.
I got a dingle dangle 10 feet long.
And this is my dingle dangle song.